Honor.
You didn't do a good job.
I believe I did a decent job.
Now this breeder gets carved up by the judge.
Listen, genius, when you go to vet school, you crop ears.
I was proud of my progress and how it looked.
He's not too swift.
I'm sorry?
He's not swift.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Dog breeder Sue Choi and boyfriend Sharon Cobb are suing former client, 20-year-old Sydney Billups, for the cost of 2 American bully puppies.
Order. All rise. This is case number 56 on the calendar, the matter of Choi, Cobb versus Billups.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Choi, how long have you been breeding this kind of dog?
A little over 2 years.
And you sold 2 of those dogs to the defendant. Where do you live?
In Tacoma, Washington.
And where do you live?
Olympia, Washington.
How far away is that?
35 minutes, 40 minutes.
Where did you see these dogs advertised?
On Facebook.
Do you have any other dogs?
I do.
What kind?
Bullies.
How many?
5.
Who did you buy them from?
Well, a lot of them we produced.
What do you mean?
A person in Olympia, and then we got another one from a guy in Port Orchard, and then the other ones we produced, and then we have these 2.
Did you buy them for breeding purposes?
Yes.
They males or females?
We have all females.
Who do you use for stud service?
We go outside. We just did 2 breedings, and we find a stud that we like, we go to the stud, we pay them, and we get the breeding done.
Okay, you bought these 2 dogs $2,500?
The deal was I got Iggy first, who was $1,700, and then they messaged me asking if I knew anybody that wanted the other one, and so I had wanted the other one over Iggy, and so I went and picked up Millie, who is my blue and white one.
How much?
Millie was $1,500 and Iggy was $1,700, so a total of $3,100.
How much did you pay her for the 2 dogs?
I paid her $100, and then I was supposed to pay her the rest at the end of the month, so $25.
And on what date did you pay her the $100?
That would be January 30th is when I picked her up.
She hasn't been paid?
Yeah. When I got Iggy, I wanted the blue.
You got Iggy on what date?
On January 30th.
Okay.
And I had wanted Millie, which was the blue and white one, but they had insisted, well, it wasn't her, it was Mr. Cobb, had insisted that I get Iggy, so I took Iggy home.
Well, nobody can insist. You're a grown person.
He told me which one was the cheaper one and said to get Iggy.
Well, Iggy was
He told me $3,000.
How much did you sell the dogs to her for?
I sold the first dog, well, Sharon did for $1,700, and then the second dog for $1,500.
And she gave you $100?
$100.
Deposit?
Yes.
Why did you let her take the dogs with only a $100 deposit?
Because she said that she was getting her income tax return, and she was going to pay in full by February 29th. So we did her a favor and let her have the puppies till then.
How old were the puppies at that point?
About 10 weeks.
How many were in the litter?
Well, 8 and 1 didn't make it. So 7.
Did you sell the others?
Yes.
So you sold 5 of them?
Yes.
And how much did you sell them for?
They ranged anywhere from $6,000 and $1,500 was the least amount.
Can I see a picture of what these dogs look like?
That's Iggy and that's Millie.
I have pictures of the whole litter too.
That's a copy of like all the bad stuff. When I got Iggy, they cropped their ears themselves, so Iggy's ears were ruined, and I had to pay to have them fixed. So that has that in it too.
Did you personally crop their ears?
I did, Your Honor.
You didn't do a good job.
I believe I did a decent job. I've went to vets and paid before and got worse jobs done.
No.
I think it's kind of the angles that she used. If you look at some other pictures,
I mean,
they look pretty good.
Your Honor, my vet stated.
No, don't tell me this.
No.
You see, I'm pretty proud of myself. First litter, first time cropping ears. On man, am I good? Laugh out loud.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean,
that wasn't
what
my
does that
first
mean?
time.
I mean, that's what you wrote.
Yeah, I may have wrote that, but it's not
so
true.
you lied when you wrote this. You lied that it was your first time.
That's right.
Well, that's ridiculous. Why would you lie that it was your first time performing surgery on an animal?
I was proud of my progress of how it looked, yeah.
He's not too swift.
I'm sorry?
He's not swift. Now, your defense to not paying for the dogs is that you say that one of the dogs has a health defect.
Yes.
Which dog?
It's Iggy.
That's the one you paid $1,700 for.
I paid $100, but that's what they wanted was $17.
You didn't pay $100. You paid $1,700.
Well,
you gave him a deposit for $100.
Yeah.
So Iggy, you say, has a congenital defect.
Yes.
And when did you discover the congenital defect?
Well,
You bought the dog on January 30th.
About 2 weeks after that.
Well, if you are in this business of breeding, as they clearly are, you know, that you're supposed to take the dog right away.
Yeah.
To have the dog vet checked right away.
Yeah.
What did you wait 2 weeks for?
Because they told me that the dog had been vet checked and I had trusted them.
Well, you don't trust anybody when you're buying a dog or a used car.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Well, so 2 weeks later, you brought the dog to...
Having seizures, I took her to 3 vets.
Okay, I'd like to see the reports from the 3 vets.
Okay, this one was the last one. This was as she was having the seizure, and then that was that. So the first one was the West Olympia vet.
Well, the first report that I have is from Olympia Pet Vets, and they say that Iggy and Millie presented for lethargy and possible overdose of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That's what they say. They don't say it's a congenital anything.
No, that's...
Okay. So the first vet that you took them to said...
That wasn't the first one. The first vet was...
Well, whatever this one was.
There was an emergency vet that I took her to after I went to the West Olympia Pet.
Just a second. This is February 3rd.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that says that
the last one is...
Well, there's nothing in here that says...
That was her having a seizure. There's one.
I understand she was having a seizure. I'm going to read to you what it says. It says that the dogs were left unsupervised outside.
Yeah.
This dog has a history, according to this, of eating everything and anything outside. So they were monitoring the dog.
Yeah.
There's nothing here that says congenital heart murmur, congenital everything. I'm just reading you what you gave me.
So the VCA Tangle Wild will tell you, I highlighted it for you. It says...
Just a second, I'm reading everything.
Okay.
Genius. When you go to vet school, you crop ears. Do you understand?
Listening.
Pay attention. You wouldn't like it if somebody who fixed toilets for a living cropped your ears. These little creatures, they're living things. You're not supposed to surgically operate on them unless you know what the hell you're doing. And to know what the hell you're doing, you have to go to school for 8 years.
Right, in the state of Washington, if you're a licensed breeder, you can crop dog's ears.
What I'm telling you is you didn't know what you were doing.
I have a pending animal...
I'm not speaking to you.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't say that the dog has a heart murmur.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Right here.
It says, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Right here. It says, grade 3 solistic murmur heard. And then...
It says, rule out heart murmur.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I'm just reading it right here.
Right here. It says, I mean, my vet said you can call her. She wouldn't write a statement because she said didn't want to be on TV. But she said grade 3 heart murmur. And then I went back a couple weeks after that to get her checked out again, and she still has it.
Well, then let me
get it. This is Millie's. Let me get Iggy's. This is Iggy's.
On April 4th, 2016, now you hadn't paid for these dogs, and you have them now January, February, March, and April. Then you took the dog to the dog park. Took the dog to the dog park. Okay, listen to me. You have the dogs, you have to pay for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to pay for them.
But not if I can't breed them.
What?
I can't breed them. That's what I bought them for, was breeding. And he circled it for you. They have a level 3 heart murmur. It's never going to go away. That's what my vet told me.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know what a level 3 heart murmur is. I have a heart murmur. I have grandchildren who have a little heart murmur.
You can hear it. It's at the base of her heart. It causes her to have seizures.
Listen to me. Show me a contract where it said that you were buying these dogs for breeding purposes.
She said it. I read it to her.
Show me where you have a contract that says you were buying these dogs for breeding purposes at the time you bought them, in January.
I stated to her.
I don't care what you stated to her. I said a contract.
Right. It says right here that on the registration number, on the registration papers, that I can't remove it from the paperwork. And the only reason I was getting them was for breeding.
Listen to me. I don't care what you got them for.
Yeah.
I don't care. All I need is a contract that says in January you were buying these dogs for breeding purposes, and then I need some evidence that you couldn't breed these dogs because of what is described here as a possible level 3 heart murmur.
It wasn't possible.
That's evidence.
It wasn't possible. I mean, you can call it that.
I'm not. You have the 2 dogs.
Yeah.
You have the 2 dogs.
Yeah.
You have to pay for them.
But I can't breed them. And that's what I got.
I don't care whether you can breed them or not unless you have a contract that says that you bought them for breeding purposes only, and a vet says that you cannot breed them because of this particular condition. And right now you're only talking about 1 dog. You kept 2.
Yeah. And Millie, I can't do anything because her ears, she was going to be shown. I can't show her ears are cropped off the wrong way.
Just a second. That has nothing to do with breeding.
Yeah. But I can't show her.
No.
And that's what I wanted to do.
Now you wanted to show her and breed her.
Yeah.
You have to pay for the dogs.
Okay, so if I have to pay for the dog, their contract states that I get paperwork on the dogs, and they called me and told me that they were going to take me to court and sue me and not give me my paperwork.
I wouldn't give you your paperwork. Why would you get your paperwork without paying for it?
Because that's what their contract states.
When you pay.
Yeah, so if I have to pay them, I want my paperwork.
Of course you're going to get your paperwork when you personally pay them.
Like I said, I think that they knew, they stated here that they knew the mom had the same health issues. So they bred the mom knowing that she had a heart murmur and seizures, and they gave her to me that way. So they stated in here
Listen
that
to me.
from health.
You have 2 dogs. You've got a whole bunch of excuses why you didn't pay for either one of them. One of them you said had a heart murmur, and then therefore you can't breed that dog, and that was why you wanted the dog. Just a second.
Yeah.
And you have 5 other of these dogs at home, which you also breed, so you know the routine.
Yeah.
You know the routine. The other dog, which you said you also wanted to breed, you said, well, I can't breed that dog because the ears are cropped wrong. Well, if he cropped the ears wrong, that has nothing to do with breeding.
Yeah,
they're not going to come out with fakakta ears because he did a lousy job of cropping the ears. Then you said, well, I wanted to show her also, but you knew that the ears were cropped wrong as soon as you brought them.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You had to come up with the money.
Yes, I had a letter from the collection agency stating that didn't go through because the account was closed.
Well, where did that money go?
It went to the collection agency.
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dog breeders Sue Choi and boyfriend Sharon Cobb say former client Sydney Billups owes for 2 American Bully puppies. Sydney is countersuing for fraud and vet costs.
Listen, my sympathy for you is that you got him. But I wouldn't let him touch any more dogs. Do you understand? Because he's a little too cavalier about it. Do you understand what I mean? A little too cavalier about it? Plaintiff in the amount requested, which is $2,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Thank you.
Why is there excuse? You may step out.
It's mostly the bully world. It's just
She should not have these dogs at all.
people get in to make money, and when they can't make money,
Yes, very worried about the dogs. I don't think she's capable of having animals.
they take these shortcuts.
Yeah, pay up front and
I have the dog, and
don't deal with idiots, just like the judge says, she's an idiot.
even now, I don't plan on breeding her.
Don't do business with shady people.
I'm making sure that she's taken care of.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Halsey versus Tanner. Step forward.
Sylvia Halsey is suing former friend Melissa Tanner for damages resulting from a check for a car down payment.
Miss Halsey, this is some convoluted check problem that you had with the defendant, who used to be your friend. I gather she's not your friend anymore. And she wanted to buy a car, but she didn't have money to put down for a deposit. So she asked you to give her a post-dated check, according to you, for the dealership. And she said to you that she would tell them not to deposit the check. By that time, she would have the money, and she would come in and replace your post-dated check. Is that pretty much the story?
Yes.
And when did you give her the check?
I post-dated the check on March 2nd,
Just post-dated it until what date?
March 22nd,
And how much of a deposit was she putting down?
$900.
So that's what the check was for $900.
No, ma'am. The check was made out for $1,205.19.
Why?
Because she wasn't able to come out with all the whole amount for the down payment of the vehicle.
Well, that's an odd number, $1,205.19.
Yes.
Is that the amount that you needed for the deposit?
The car was $21,05.19. I was able to put $900 down on the deposit. So yes, the amount was for $1,105.19.
$1,100.
No, ma'am. No.
May I see the check?
$1,105 should have been the amount on the check. I'm sorry, $1,205.19. Sorry.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The car is in your possession, then they gave you credit for this $1,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you owe it to her. Why are you here? Why didn't you just give it to her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sylvia Halsey is suing former friend Melissa Tanner for damages resulting from a check for a car down payment.
Now, post-dated to March 22nd, and they deposited the check on what date?
On March 31st.
Well, did you ask her what happened to the check on March 22nd?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Prior to that, on March 4th, she contacted me and told me that she wasn't able to come up with the money. So I went to the bank and stopped payment on the check and closed the account, thinking that that was going to protect me, clearing from everything.
So a couple of days thereafter, she said, I can't come up with the money, so I'm not going to buy the car.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Well, no, I don't care what you were thinking. I want to know what she said to you.
Yes.
What did she say?
She told me that she was going to borrow money from her family and friends for the check, and she was going to take the money to the car dealership, and the car dealership was going to rip up the check.
Is that what you told her?
Well, I told her I was going to try to come up with the money.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
And that the car dealership was going to rip up the check.
Yes.
Did you give the check to the car dealership?
I did not. She gave the car to the dealership.
On what date?
On March 2nd.
On the 2nd. So they had the check that you had given her. And 2 days later, she said, they're going to rip up the check because I'm going to come up with the money some other way.
Yes.
So then you went to the bank.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I went to the bank and put a stop payment on the check.
Let me see that, please. Just a second. I just want to know on what date you put a stop payment on the check.
On March 6th.
That doesn't say that here. It just says deposit ID number, credits $35, balance $6. Show me where it says that you put a stop payment on the check.
The bank told me that they were putting the stop payment on the check, and at the same time, I closed the account.
Well, I see you closed the account, and you took out the remaining balance. Okay, and then the car dealership deposited the check.
Yes.
And you had to come up with the money.
Yes, I had a letter from the collection agency stating that they went to push the check through, and of course it didn't go through because the account was closed. And so I was stuck with $1,205.19.
Well, where did that money go? To the car dealership.
The car dealership did not have it anymore. It went to the collection agency.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, somebody has to be the recipient of this money. Did you buy this car? Did you end up buying the car?
I am continuing to buy the car.
Is the car in your possession?
Yes, ma'am.
If the car is in your possession, then you owe it to her. Why are you here? Why didn't you just give it to her?
I haven't been able to come up with the money, and the last time me and her discussed the situation, she told me she was going to pay it off so she didn't have to hear from her husband anymore, and that I could give her what I could when I could.
Well,
we were friends at the time, and I've been going through a lot of stuff, and I haven't been able to pay her the money, Your Honor. And I did contact her, and I let her know that. And she told me not to worry about that. Her husband had her close out the checking account.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,205.
No, ma'am. Wait a minute.
Yes.
I had to take a class for $1,400 for a bad check, and I had to pay for that class. I don't really think it's my fair that I should not have to be stuck with that.
You close the account.
Listen to me. Next time, don't give somebody a post-dated check. She is not the one at fault. Actually, is the car dealership. Because I think that the car dealership had a check. It looked like a perfectly valid check. They cashed it, and they knew that they shouldn't have. She's responsible for the $1,205, but she's not responsible for your class that you had to take or your emotional distress. We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Misled by their lawyer?
He said to us you could file for grandparents' rights.
Fortunate.
May I explain, Your Honor?
Don't play slick with me, Slick.
Next, Judge Judy.
Well, she offered to help.
She came to me and told me that she needed the car.
She offered to do it. I didn't ask her to do it.
Because I felt that she was a friend.
She was a good friend, and she offered to help me.
I'm done with her.
Oh, there is no more friendship.
I will never help them out again.
Oh, I won't do it again.
If they can't come up with it, then it's their problem, not mine.
It was a very traumatic night, right?
Yes, ma'am.
A brawl at the barber shop.
I was already booked, so we got an argument.
How did he get cut?
When he approached me, I had my shears in my hand for my protection.
But is it the truth that's getting a shave?
He came up behind me and knocked my hat off my head and put a straight razor to my neck. He pulls a gun out his boot, shoots a shot. People scatter everywhere.
You got a lot of stories. I'm not sure I believe you.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Michael Colclazier is suing his former best friend, Gary Joshua Williams, for medical bills, lost assault.
Order. All rise. Counts case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Colclazier versus Williams.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Colclazier, how long do you know Mr. Williams?
All my life, Your Honor.
And you've known him in a positive way.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work does he do?
He's my barber.
How long has he been your barber?
Yeah, 20 years, 15, 20 years.
Ever had any difficulty with him?
Nah.
Now, what was the date of this incident?
The 5th of February, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Came to the barbershop.
What time?
I got to the barbershop, I guess, around about 7:30.
evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Where had you been?
My friend's house, Randall's house.
Prior to going to your friend's house, where did you go?
Those Saturdays, what is that, Friday, Saturday, my son had AAU basketball. So from work to a game to, you know, going to Randall's house and then going to get a haircut. Yeah, that's about my day.
What did you do in Randall's house?
Hang out, talk a little junk, the usual.
Did you have an appointment with Mr. Williams for a haircut?
No, ma'am.
Did Randall go with you to the barbershop?
No, ma'am.
When you got to the barbershop, were there other clients there?
Yes, ma'am. It was a barbershop full, yes, ma'am.
Now tell me what happened.
We was at the barbershop.
Not we.
Haircut. Mr. Williams was cutting people's hair. We stepped outside, had a drink. Me and
Who
Mr.
stepped
Williams.
outside?
Me and Mr. Williams. We had a drink in the back of the barbershop.
So your barbershop is full, you went back and you had a drink. What did you drink?
I had a beer. I think he had a margarita or something from next door.
So you stepped outside for a while.
Yeah, because we had a conversation.
If you stepped outside, you might have brought a beer with you, but if you had a margarita, then you had to go someplace for a margarita.
No, ma'am. Next door, the lady, it's a restaurant next door to the barbershop. They literally bring trays of margaritas inside the barbershop. After hours, though. That is funny, but it's true.
So he took his margarita and went outside with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And then?
We was talking. You know, I had just moved back to South Carolina. He was telling me how glad he was I was back. You know, bruh, I miss you, you know. Then he said, listen, man, I got one more head. Let him go before you, so then after that, we could chill, you know. Everybody else was in there was friends, so, you know, barbershop like a hangout spot. So let me finish him off, and then, you know, you good. I said, okay. We gets back into the barbershop. Mr. Williams, he keeps leaving the chair. You know, he only got a lineup with this guy, but he keeps leaving to go catch a drink here, yelling out the back door. I mean, there was a lot going on. So we're joking. I'm joking with the guy in the chair, and I'm like, man, come on, man, hurry up and cut this guy's hair, man. Come on, come on. You know, the guy been coming to the barbershop together. We've been seeing each other inside the barbershop for a while. Don't rush him on my head. You know, we're joking. So he went to go walk again, and I was like, man, come on, man, cut the man hair over there looking like Patches, which is his stepdad. And, you know, I went back, you know, joking and stuff with the barbershop. I didn't think nothing I said was out the way. Next thing I knew, he came up behind me because the chairs were kind of catty-cornered. So he came up behind me and he knocked the hat off my head and pulled my forehead all the way back, put a straight razor to my neck. And I thought it was a comb because me and him were so close. I thought it was a comb. I thought he was joking. You know, all friends in the barbershop. So I was like, man, stop playing, man. So I realized it's a razor, and I'm still. You know, I sat there, everybody else making a commotion around me. You know, it seemed like things are going in slow motion at that time. People, hey, man, it don't have to come to this, stop that. It is not that serious, you know. So I feel the razor come off my neck. I get up off the chair, you know, face him. We having an altercation, you know. Next thing I know, we're fighting.
So then you got into a fight with him?
Yes, ma'am. We're fighting. He falls back. Bah! Shoots a shot. He pulls a gun out his boot, shoots a shot inside the barbershop. People scatter everywhere, you know. Everybody's gone. People are like, oh, you know, trying to separate us, pulling me out of the barbershop. I yelled, I can't find the key. He's pulling me out trying to get the door lock to the barbershop to separate us. You know, me and him back and forth. Yeah, you'll do this, I do this. So they got the door locked. Next thing I know, I'm standing in the front. Okay.
The door is locked.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you, outside or inside?
Outside the barbershop.
And he's inside?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
All right. Next thing I know, he goes out the back door.
No, now you're outside.
Yes, ma'am.
Why aren't you gone?
Waiting on the police. I yelled, call the police. He just shot at me, Your Honor. Put a razor to my neck. I was shocked. There's a lot going on. Friends was there. Next thing I know, you know, we're fussing through the door.
So let me understand this.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just trying to understand. So they have the people inside the barbershop. They elect to keep in the barbershop the madman with the straight razor and the gun and lock you out.
Mm-hmm.
They're keeping the crazy. Well, you said you knew them all, too.
Yeah, I know everybody.
So they elected to keep and lock in the crazy guy with the gun and the straight razor and lock you out. I'm just following.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Next thing I know, he comes out the back door with a razor in one hand, and I guess he grabbed the barbecue porker, you know, the little fork that you flip meat with on the barbecue. He came out the door and he, like Edward Scissorhands, swinging. So here we go. I grabbed the razor with this hand, defense wounds. He cut me open. I had and he poked me under my arms. Oh.
All right, Mr. Williams, your version.
My version, I had to work by appointments. He arrived at the shop at 7 o'clock. I was already booked, so we got an argument, a confrontation. I told him somebody didn't show up, I'd be able to get him. But everybody showed up. And
what about these tequila drinks from next door?
Oh, no, the tequila drinks, I just got off work. I do construction. I just got off work, got there at 7 o'clock. I had 4 people lined up, so we closed at 7:30.
So you were working that day?
Yes, ma'am.
For whom?
Oh, my father. Construction, Stroker's the son.
And you were on a particular site that day that you remember?
Can't recall at the moment. There was demolition in the house or something like that, painting.
And was your father on site?
Oh, no, ma'am. Just me. I just rolled up. I just came there at 7 o'clock at a point.
You're not following what I'm saying. You said you worked construction all day.
Yes,
you just
I got off.
There.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to know where you were working construction and who was there with you in the construction site where you were working.
Oh, my father.
And you worked with your father until what time?
About 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Is your father working today?
No, ma'am.
Where is he?
He's home.
He's home?
Yes, ma'am. He was in a car accident. That's why I works with him. He was in a truck accident.
Okay. And when this traumatic night, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss it with your father?
Yeah, I mentioned to him what happened. I mean...
You told him what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if I were to call your father now, who's home, would he tell me that you were with him on a construction site until 6 or 6:30?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay, so 6 or 6:30, then you get to the barbershop,
yes.
And?
I get to the barbershop, I had appointments already lined up, and I started cutting my customers.
Keep going.
Then when he came in, he wanted to get a cut. I said, I don't think I could catch it because it's past already 7 o'clock. I got 4 people. I don't want to leave here at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Well, that's it. Well, no, I need to go. I got a date. I'm ready to go. I can. I got people coming. Well, they're not here. I only see 1 or 2. They come, and that's why they got appointments. So they come where everybody won't be crowded at the same time. And then I told him if you wait, and then if somebody didn't show up, then I'd catch you. And if not then, I don't think I could get you. Yes.
So what's next? How did he get cut?
Oh, after that, we got into an argument. He went off on me in the shop. We got in an argument inside the shop. Then everybody broke it up. Like he was saying, they separate us. The owner came in because we can't lock the door from the inside because the key broke. So the owner came in, locked the front door, everybody, that was it. It de-escalated. Finished my customers, went to the back. He kept me there for about 20 minutes or more.
Who did?
The owner. He said, just sit down, let it go. Mike Conclasion, he was going from the back door, bam, on the door, rah, rah, all high style. He was like, don't go, just had to go home. So I had to leave out the back door of our building, walk from the back all the way up to the front. That's when he approached me. When he approached me, I had my shears in my hand for my protection. And after that, he hit me, he punched me in my face. When he punched me in my face, then we got an altercation, and then that's what went on in the front, by the store. I got pictures of it.
By your scissors?
Yes.
So what you're telling me is you waited inside for 20 minutes?
Yes, I waited inside, thought he'd left.
Did the police come?
No, ma'am. No, police never came.
What happened to the police?
Nobody ever called them. Unfortunately, I'm from a neighborhood where people don't believe in calling the police.
Well, you have a cell phone. Why didn't you call the police?
My phone was in the car.
Then you go to the car and get the phone.
What happened was, to be honest, what happened was when I was sitting in the barber chair, and because I was sitting in, catty-corner to him, after he came up behind me, my keys were on my lap. You hear me? So I guess during some time of that, my keys had failed, somebody grabbed them, but I didn't have my keys on me to call the police, to go to the car and call the police.
You got a lot of stories.
Ma'am?
You got a lot of stories. I'm not sure I believe you.
Yes, ma'am. It's the honest to God truth.
Once you got into your car...
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you go home and call the police?
I went to the hospital.
Why didn't you call the police?
The police came to the hospital.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see the report.
Yeah. I refused to file charges at the hospital. I refused to do anything to him, period.
So there is a report.
But that's not the night I just want to clarify what's going on. When the police came to the hospital, right, I told the police, you know what?
I don't want to hear what you told the police. That's hearsay. I want to see what they wrote
Yes, ma'am.
in a report.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is also hearsay, but it's admissible under a business record rule.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Go ahead.
Oh, I had photos to show you how far the distance I had to leave from out the back of the shop, and they have photos where this fight started at on the side of the building.
Where did the fight start?
Oh, outside the shop. I mean, other than the conversation inside, and when he broke it up. But I have photos for where you see how it's probably about 30 yards or something. I had to walk through the back for him to wait and attack me in the front.
What I want to know is this, sir. How far is the hospital that you went to get your hand stitched up from the barbershop?
About a mile up the road on the same road.
How did you get there?
Joe, he drove to the barbershop for me. He actually had my keys in his hand.
Did you know that person?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he in the barbershop that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Why isn't he here?
He wouldn't come on the show.
Why?
Because we are all friends. All of us are friends. So, you know, people look like, I ain't going on Judge Judy with that mess, bruh. So he didn't come on the show.
Why did he come?
He came. He was there.
He wasn't there. You just told me he wasn't there.
I never said he wasn't there. No, I never
You
said.
said you were at his house. I said, did he go with you to the...
He didn't. You asked, did he come with me to the barbershop? No, ma'am.
Right.
He came on his come with me. I just answered your question. That's all. He didn't come with me to the barbershop.
So you were in the barbershop?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I got ready to leave. I started walking through in my truck.
And where was he?
I guess he was getting ready to leave, but he wasn't walking fast as I was.
Should have done what your friend did. Get to your car. Or say to him, take me in your car.
Serious?
Absolutely serious.
And later today,
she then posted a picture 3 days later after I did the big payment in Vegas with money in your hand. She should be able to pay the $3,000.
She didn't have the accident with the car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Colclasure says former friend Gary Joshua Williams assaulted him during a visit to his barbershop.
Where was your cell phone?
In my pocket.
His was locked in his car, and he had no keys. Where was yours?
In my pocket.
Why didn't you call the police?
Because I didn't feel like it was my responsibility. I told the shop owner to call the police. And when he yelled, call the police, it was time for me to go.
So you left?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, after I got him outside, I put my foot by the door so he couldn't get back in the barbershop, nor could he get out.
So that he couldn't get back in?
Yes, ma'am.
And now you're outside with him? And then what did you do?
I got ready to leave. I started walking toward my truck.
So you went and you got in your truck?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was he?
He was standing right here.
Why?
I guess he was getting ready to leave, but he wasn't walking fast as I was. But I was trying to leave because he said call the police.
Your case is dismissed. I'm not buying it. Should have done what your friend did. Get to your car or say to him, take me in your car.
Are you serious?
Absolutely serious.
Wow.
Dead serious.
Wow.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
We've been friends forever. Couldn't even say it was just a misunderstanding.
He's my friend. We've been friends since J-High.
The hater went this far.
And I'd rather have settled it another way.
No, not true at all.
Than to settle it, putting them behind the bars.
The firearm being the premises at all.
It is. We'll settle it the way we'll settle it.
I mean, I don't have no hard race against him and nothing like that. Yeah.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Young versus Freeman. Step forward.
23-year-old Willie Young is suing his mother, Danielle Freeman, for the balance on a car loan he co-signed for.
Mr. Young, this is your mother.
Correct.
How old are you?
23.
What do you do for a living?
A custodian for the state of California.
How many cars have you wrecked in your 23 years?
None.
None?
No.
What about this one?
Well, this is one, but I mean...
Only this one. All right, so this is the case. Berta wants you to listen carefully.
Okay.
This is his mother.
Mm-hmm.
He co-signed for a car for her. So he probably had reasonable credit. Mm-hmm. And then he borrowed the car, and he totaled the car.
Ooh.
And now he's suing his mother. Now, when you totaled the car, sir, on what date did you total the car?
11/27.
And were the police called?
The police came to the scene, yes.
Did they file a police report?
Yes, they did.
And who was at fault in the accident?
It was 50-50.
So you were half responsible and the other party was half responsible?
Correct.
She wasn't responsible, right?
No.
Now, when was the car purchased?
August 23rd.
August, September, October, November. 3 months.
Correct.
How many times in the 3 months did you use the car?
Probably a total of 3. I didn't use it that often.
So?
You want to know the situation now?
I want to know why you think your mother's responsible for you totaling the car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I only have one question to ask you. I don't think you owe him a thing unless you agreed to give him $3,000, did you? No, look at me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 23-year-old Willie Young for the balance on a car loan he co-signed for.
Now, I want to know why you think your mother's responsible for you totaling the car.
In May, she purchased her own vehicle, which was a 2015 Jeep Patriot. That was her new car on her own credit. So she decided...
No, we've already got past that. We got to the point where you...
No, but there's two cars. That's why the other half is on there, because of the car she had before the Nissan. The Nissan was only $20,000, which is what the insurance company paid. The Jeep she had, they were not paying that $8,000. She told me that there was gap on that contract, the one she signed before I came on there. So that is why I felt if anything did happen to the car, whether it's me or her, it would have been paid for.
It wasn't.
No, it was not. So that's when we made the agreement. I would pay $5 and she could pay $3, because the Jeep was literally not mine, but because we were both on this contract, I will agree to pay the $5,000 if you pay the $3. Come time to pay the $3, I keep hearing, I'm gonna get at you, I'm gonna get at you. I pay this big note, bringing it back up to speed so we have no late payments, no anything. She then posted a picture 3 days later after I did the big payment in Vegas with money in your hand. So are you planning on getting on my loan with me? Are you planning on paying with me? When do you plan on paying? You let that part go. Then prior to that, you have a new fence getting put up. So when is anybody gonna come in with this $3,000? I'm paying $596 monthly. And the $20,000 was paid from insurance, $5 from me. $3 needs to at least belong. I was never on that Jeep, but because I signed the contract and I did not read, no gap was not on there, she should be able to pay the $3,000. That's $25,000 from me. Insurance, $20, $5 from me.
She didn't have the accident with the car.
But what I'm saying is, we would have never had the leftover amount had she not had that white Jeep first. It would have only been a $20,000 car, which would have been paid off.
I only have one question to ask you. I don't think you owe him a thing unless you agreed to give him $3,000, did you? No, look at me. I asked you a question, just give me the answer.
I did, but then when I thought about it, after I said I did, I feel I wasn't the driver, so why should I pay?
Well, why did you agree to give him the $3,000?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Why did you agree to give him the $3,000?
Because at the time when everything happened, I was under the assumption that I had gap. And then when it came down to when the accident happened in November, I didn't pay November, December, because I really thought everything was paid for.
So you didn't pay your insurance?
No, I paid my insurance, the car note.
But then not the gap insurance.
On the original contract, I had gap insurance. When the car dealership called me back, and
the answer is that you agreed to pay the $3,000 if he paid the $5,000. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,000. We're done.
Excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A seller's transaction stalls these buyers.
Did he tell you that there was a tax lien on the car?
No. Not at all.
So that's being a bit of a hustler.
Next Judge Judy.
I think it was fair because you owed your $3,000, you agreed what you paid, what you agreed.
I agree, but I don't agree.
Well, she was angry, but like I said, had you had gap like you told me.
Mom, I totaled your car, and I went in complete shock.
I felt everything would have been taken care of, so...
And I never even went to go see about them because I feel...
At the end of the day, it was her fault because you took gap off that car.
You wrecked something that belonged to me.
I wanted to get better because this is my only parent left.
Never let your young son drive your new car.
But I can't say. I don't know if she's going to want to talk to me or not, but that's not up to me.
We just wanted to ensure that we could continue to see our grandchildren.
Misled by their lawyer?
He said
rights in most jurisdictions. That's unfortunate.
He says that wasn't the case at all.
Her son. She was retaining me to represent him in a divorce.
But I would never retain a lawyer for a divorce. That a marriage never took place.
May I explain, Your Honor?
Don't play slick with me, Slick.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. John and Victoria Heatley are suing attorney Paul Lavelle for the return of money they paid him to fight for visitation with their grandchildren.
Order. All rise. This is case 55 on the calendar in the matter of Heatley versus Laval.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Heatley, Mr. Laval is an attorney, and he was an attorney who represented, according to what I've read in your complaint, your son.
That's right.
In a criminal proceeding. That criminal proceeding resulted, was there a trial, Mr. Laval?
No, Your Honor, there was a plea entered and there was a punishment hearing.
And a disposition?
That's correct, Your Honor. 5 years in the state penitentiary on each case.
When was that?
2014, Judge.
What month in 2014 was the conviction?
14.
Your complaint is that after your son was sentenced, you retained Mr. Laval for him to pursue visitation rights with your son's children.
Yes. Well, it was grandparents' rights. Grandparents' rights.
No, you say grandparents' rights. You have to understand, grandparents have no rights in most jurisdictions.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you retained him not for rights. You retained him to have visitation with your son's children.
That's right.
Right, because for one reason or another, the mother of those children would not permitting you to see the children. How old are the children?
4 and 3.
4 and 3 now.
So they were really infants.
Yes.
One was an infant and one was a young toddler. And was your son married to the mother of the children?
No.
Where does she live?
In Kingwood and Glade Springs.
Is that her?
That's her, yes.
Oh, good. Stand up. Tell me your last name.
It's Carm.
Were you and Mr. and Mrs. Healy's son ever married?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Sit down. I may need you again. I assume you are now seeing your grandchildren.
Yes, thankfully, yes.
Good. Well, because I assume she wouldn't be here today if that weren't the case. Now, on what date did you give Mr. Laval a retainer with regard to visiting your grandchildren? So that was before your son was sentenced?
Yes.
Right.
Did you pay your son's legal bill?
No, he did. My
He
son
did.
Mm-hmm.
And how much was that fee that you charged their son?
The criminal case was $6,000, Your Honor.
And how much additional money did Mr. and Mrs. Heatley give you?
And, Your Honor, I have a copy of the contract in front of me.
I'd like to take a look at it.
May I pass it to the bailiff, Your Honor? Thank you, sir.
Do you have a copy of the contract that you signed with him?
We don't.
I don't understand this. According to this first page,
Yes, Your Honor.
which is not initialed by anybody,
Yes, Your Honor.
which is very much in dispute, it says, I, Victoria Heatley, retain you to represent me in divorce for Corey Robert.
That was never the case. They weren't married,
Just
so
a
why
second.
divorce?
You see, that's the thrust of this case, Mr. Laval. The thrust of this case is they say that they retained you for the sole purpose of securing visitation with their grandchildren. And if you were retained in April of 2014, the first thing an attorney would do is to find out where and in what jurisdiction your document, because I actually sat in the matrimonial part, sir. Any lawyer would say, well, I have to find out where you were married, have a first interview, or you have an interview with their son, which you would have documented, and he would have told you where they were married. So I'll see either one.
Your Honor, I don't have that because it's not required in Texas. The Texas Family Code, Section 3, has a thing called marriage without formalities, which is what would be called a common law marriage.
Listen to me carefully, sir. Then that would have had to have been, you see, don't play slick with me, Slick. That would have had to have been a conversation that you had with their son, who said we were never formally married in a religious or civil ceremony. We lived as a common law couple. So I'd like to see the conversation that you had in notes with their son, because then you have to prepare a document that said they lived in a common law relationship from this date to this date. Let's see it.
Your Honor, I don't have a copy of any notes, but I know that I interviewed Mr. because he appeared in the divorce court with me along with Ms. Carm, and I have documents they signed in the divorce court setting up temporary
Just a
visitation.
second. Stand up. Did you appear in a divorce court with Mr. Laval?
No, ma'am.
You're saying she did?
Your Honor, I have copies.
There, she appeared in court. Was he out on bail at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so he appeared also, Mr. Laval?
It's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, I just want to see it. If I see that, and if I see it in a transcript...
The first item we have, Your Honor, is a Rule 11 agreement, which is an informal agreement that they signed at the courthouse, and then there's an actual court order that they signed.
I'd like to see the court order. I'd like to see. I'd like to see the court order.
And it speaks specifically of visitation, Your Honor. These are the agreed temporary orders.
Shh. Can't get anything.
Oh, well, Ms. Carm, you did, in fact, appear in court on the 3rd of July, 2014. You appeared, Corey Robert appeared, both in person and through an attorney.
We've never seen that.
Never seen that in my life.
Well,
they were never married, though.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
Corey and Courtney Carm were appointed temporary joint managing conservators. I don't know, Texas law is probably different from what I'm accustomed to. Was there a decree with regard to this marriage?
Your Honor, eventually the case was dismissed for one of prosecution because the parties reconciled. Neither one of them wanted to go forward to prison.
Let me know on what date the parties reconciled. Do you have that information?
I do, Your Honor. I have an email from Corey.
I'd like to see it.
The point is that we would never, ever ask for money for anything about a divorce. We were dealing with Mr. Lavelle over the other matter. We're both upset about not seeing the grandchildren. We paid him the $4,000 purely to get grandparents' rights.
That's not what I have.
Yeah,
sir.
I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Well, that's not what I have, sir.
Yeah.
What I have is a contract of employment. It would have been smarter for Mr. Laval to have you initial this, but what he provided me, and you don't have anything to the contrary, is signed by you, and it was signed by you on April 22nd. Subsequent to that, Mr. Laval did a substantial amount of work with regard to a marriage and providing for temporary custody and conservator of the children. I don't know why parents have to be conservators of the children. I don't understand that.
It's a term of art that we shouldn't use, Your Honor.
No, but they certainly participated.
Yeah, but the thing was, is me and my husband were the ones who wrote the check, and it pertained to him.
Where did your son live when he was on bail?
With us.
Then you knew. Then he knew.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He wasn't seeing his children. He wanted to see his children. You wanted you to see his children. He started an action which was the most simplistic way of accomplishing all of that. That makes perfect sense to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John and Victoria Heatley say attorney Paul Laval owes for the return of money they paid him to fight for visitation with their grandchildren. Paul is countersuing for the unpaid balance of his services.
Now, when your son was living with you, was Miss Carm not letting your son see the children?
That's right, yes.
Okay. So that the way that was dealt with was in this proceeding, your son was granted substantial visitation rights, which meant you could see your grandchildren. Now, after this was done, did you see your grandchildren?
Yeah, we started to see them again in May of 2014.
Right, because that's what happened. They started this proceeding, and there were temporary orders made for your son to...
No idea, she just came around and...
Can I say something?
You can say whatever you like, but first of all, I asked you a question before. I said, did you ever appear in court? You said no, and that's not true. You did.
The only time I was in court was whenever Corey was going to jail.
That is not so. The court said you were there on July 3rd, 2014. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes. I mean, I don't remember, but yes.
The matter between Corey, Courtney, whatever,
that was
nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. He was home with you. He was home with you. He was on bail. He wasn't seeing his children. He wanted to see his children. You wanted him to see his children. You wanted you to see his children. He started an action which was the most simplistic way of accomplishing all of that, because he's certainly entitled to see his children. And if he can see his children, he can have his parents see his children. That makes perfect sense to me. And right now, you see that file on the matrimonial case? That's the work that he put in on the matrimonial case, which ultimately allowed you to see your grandchildren.
Right.
What do you mean, right? But yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did.
But it was the whole main concern was for us to see the kids when all this took place.
So there was perhaps a misunderstanding. The only paperwork that which says retained to get a divorce for Corey Robert paid $4,000. Paid in full, and that was on April 22nd.
But I would never retain a lawyer for a divorce. That a marriage never took place. My son and Courtney were never married, ever.
Right now, it appears that you and this young lady have reached some sort of an accord with regard to seeing the children.
We have.
What you should do is sit down and memorialize that in the document. I would assume she's taking good care of the children.
She is.
Yes.
Yeah, but the process which allowed that to begin. This is an action that involved in the matter of the marriage of Corey Robert and Courtney Christine Cram, and in the interests of their children. That's what the action was that he filed after he got your $4,000. And subsequently, you did begin to see your grandchildren because your son was granted temporary substantial visitation with the children, with her consent, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And, Your Honor, I might want to point out it was when he was on bond for aggravated robbery and had a bad drug problem. But we still...
No, that's not true. He didn't have a drug problem. And also what wasn't true was the sentencing, what he said. He wasn't sentenced to 5 years minimum on each charge. He was sentenced. A lot of what Mr. Lavelle says is not true.
I'm just curious. It has nothing to do with this case.
No.
Do you have the sentencing order?
I believe I have it here, Your Honor, and it was 2 5-year sentences running concurrently.
No.
That's why
running concurrently.
Oh, no, he didn't say that.
How many robbery cases did your son have?
He had 1 case, 2 counts.
Your Honor, he was on video at 2 robberies and one night and was a suspect in the 3rd robbery.
Just a second. So he was on video 2 different locations?
Yes, ma'am. 2 pharmacies across the street from each other.
2 different locations is 2 different robberies.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you murder 2 people on the same night, that's still 2 murders. You rob a 7-Eleven store and then you rob a Target, and it happens to be on the same day, that's 2 separate crimes.
And later today...
I'm not interested in what happened 2 summers ago when he paid to go out on a date.
Right.
I'm
sorry, I
misunderstood
misunderstood the question.
No, you got my question and you gave me an answer. I said I'm not interested in it.
Okay. Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John and Victoria Heatley say attorney Paul Lavelle owes for the return of money they paid him to fight for visitation with their grandchildren. Paul is countersuing for the unpaid balance of his services.
Now, it's like, you know, if you murders, do you understand? You rob a 7-Eleven store and then you rob a Target, and it happens to be on the same day, that's 2 separate crimes. Now, do you understand?
Yeah, that's why
he was charged with 2 separate...
2 counts were.
Just a second. Not 2 counts. Counts can come from a same act. This is not the same act. This is 2 separate and distinct crimes.
Right.
So he pled guilty to 2 robberies, and he was sentenced on each of the robberies to 5 years. Those sentences to run concurrently, which means that they had to run at the same time. The judge was nice to him. I wouldn't have been so nice to him. Me, he would have served those terms consecutively, but he hit it lucky. Don't minimize it, sir.
No.
Right now, you are seeing your grandchildren.
Yes.
Your case is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. We're done.
Parties are excused. They step out.
We did hire him for grandparents' rights, and he never did anything about it.
In Texas, grandparents' rights are established by if the son has rights to see the kids.
It had nothing to do with my son. It would entitle us to see the children.
I have no issues with the judge's ruling.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cortez versus Widlacki step forward.
Leslie Cortez is suing a series of unpaid loans while they were dating.
Ms. Cortez, it is your claim that the defendant, who was your boyfriend, owes you money for a variety of things. He's no longer your boyfriend. Now you have this laundry list of things that you believe he owes you for. When and under what circumstances do you claim you made this first loan to him?
Robert was working for a failing business, and he had little cash, and we wanted to go out to the show or to dinner, and he had said, if you could pay for it, I will pay for it on my next check. I agreed to it.
When was that?
2 summers ago is when this started.
I'm not interested in what happened 2 summers ago when he paid to go out on a date.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question then.
No, you got my question and you gave me an answer. I said I'm not interested in it.
Okay, okay.
What's next?
It just was a series of situations like that.
No, but that's what it looked like in your complaint. If you have a boyfriend and he says, why don't you cover it this time and I'll pay you back, and he doesn't. And then the next month or 2 weeks later, he says, listen, let's go out for dinner. I don't have my wallet. I lost my wallet. You cover it and I'll pay you back later, and he doesn't. And then 3 months later, because that's what I'm reading, he says, you come to visit me and I'll pay you back half when my friend straightens out. That's an expression. Those aren't loans.
We made an agreement to keep a list of what he owed me, and he made a verbal agreement to pay me back, which I have a witness to that agreement.
That's not true, Your Honor. Yes, there was a little loan made around Christmas time in between jobs.
Tell me about that loan, sir. That
So
you call
I
a loan.
had just quit my job. I was in between jobs, and it was right around Christmas time.
What month and year?
It was December of 2014. You know, she offered. I was reluctant, but I said okay because I knew I could pay her back.
Okay. I did not offer. He cried tears to me.
What?
I never
did not
cried
offer
tears,
him.
Your Honor. I'm not that kind of guy.
Just a second. Shh. How much did you borrow?
$500.
Did you pay her back?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me when.
Paid her half in April of 2015, and then the other half about a month or so later.
Is that correct?
Basically, yes, but there were...
Just a second.
Yes.
So when he borrowed money from you, he paid you back in the next 2 months.
On that particular...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in 2015.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what you started to complain about was money that you laid out for things in 2014.
It started in 2014.
Well, that's what you said to me. It started in 2014. In his mind, there was a loan. He paid you back for that $500 loan. No, well, I don't think so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Well, you started to tell me that we went out and we were going to go to a show, and he said, if you pay, I'll pay you back later. And that's 2 years ago, and he didn't pay you back. And you continue to do that time and time again.
Dozens and dozens
boyfriend
of times.
and girlfriend.
Dozens and dozens of times I had asked him to sit down with me on this list.
Well, then you should have stopped going halfies.
He was very convincing that...
well, you're not convincing me. Now, do you have any other thing other than these half dinners, half movies, half shows, half nights out, which I am totally disinterested in, that you consider a loan? Anything else?
The verbal agreement that he entered into with me
don't repeat it. Don't repeat it again. Is there any other thing other than half movies, shows, dinner, time out?
I have a witness who was privy to conversation of him agreeing to make this payment.
Case is dismissed.
May step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You used your dog as stud. What happened with the litter?
Every pup died.
Do you have any proof of that, sir?
Next Judge Judy.
I had a verbal agreement that I would take care of his costs and he would pay me back.
She's crazy.
All I can say to people out there is if you find yourself in the same situation, get it in writing.
At first, I felt sorry for her because I thought it was her and it was everybody else, but it turns out that it's everybody else is right and it's her.
What kind of dog was it that you bred?
I have a full breed registered cane corso.
So you used your dog as stud?
Yes.
Dog breeders hound each other.
What you're saying is that he agreed to give you $800.
The agreement was never for money. It was for 2 puppies.
Then bad luck or a horrible lie.
What happened with the litter?
Every pup died.
Do you have any proof of that, sir?
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Juanita Phillips is suing Michael Stevens for an unpaid stud fee for her male cane corso.
Order. All rise. Case number 58 on the calendar in the matter of Phillips versus Stevens.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Phillips, do you breed dogs?
No, Your Honor. I only have done that just one time.
And what kind of dog was it that you bred?
I have a full breed registered cane corso.
What do they look like?
They're in the Mastiff family.
How much does your dog weigh?
Knight weighs approximately about 25 pounds.
25?
I'm sorry, 125. My error. He's a big dog. I'm sorry.
Okay. And you did that one time, so you used your dog as stud.
Yes.
And how were you paid when that happened?
I actually was not paid. There was an agreement.
With whom?
With Mr. Stevens here.
Okay, so Mr. Stevens has a female of the same species, is that right?
Yes.
So you had a breeding once?
Yes.
How long ago was that, Mr. Stevens?
It was July of 2015.
And so the puppies would have been born approximately 63 days later, July to August.
58 to 63 days.
Okay, so sometime in early September.
Uh-huh.
And what was your agreement with Mr. Stevens?
The agreement was never for money. It was for 2 puppies.
No.
And that was in early September. That was the first time?
Yes. It was in July.
As a stud?
That's correct.
Okay. Was that the only time, or you did it again?
That's the only time.
Oh, this was the only time. So you just did it once with him?
Yes.
And what happened with the litter?
Well, the litter, every pup died.
Do you have any proof of that, sir?
Well, I don't at the time. I did have pictures because I owed another person a pup out of that litter where she had paid in full.
How old were the puppies when they died?
They didn't live 3 days.
So they all died within 3 days?
Right.
Did you ever ascertain why?
Well, I kind of figured why. She had a litter at the time as well. Well, her litter was before mine, and that's how I met her.
I thought she only had the one male.
Well, yeah.
Your Honor, I have a female and a male that had a litter.
So you did have a litter of your own?
Of my own, yes. I'm sorry, of my own.
When was that?
That was in April of 2015.
What happened to that litter?
That litter...
Did they all die?
No.
How many?
The dog had 12 puppies.
And how many died?
9 of them died.
In what period of time?
They were 4 months old when they died.
You kept all 12 puppies for 4 months? You must have a couple of pictures with the photographs of the 12 puppies at 4 months old.
And I also have a picture of Knight as well.
Well, these are pretty healthy-looking puppies. What are they, about 6 weeks old here?
Yes, or maybe a little older than that. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever find out what happened to them?
Yes. They ended up having parvo.
So what did you do about that?
Well, I had...
And what did you do with the other 3 puppies?
The other 3 puppies were sold, and they're fine.
How much were they sold for?
The other 3 puppies were sold for $1,000.
All 3?
All 3.
When did you notify her that all the puppies in your litter died?
Well, I had 2 puppies that I purchased from her as a deal of helping her sell her pups.
No. Explain that to me.
Well, when I met her, my brother took me to a house to look at pups. And the pups were maybe, like she say, 12 weeks old. You know, so I say, well, you know, you'll have these dogs for a while because they consider one on a dog. And that's saying, okay, once this dog gets your scent, you don't have to worry about them following anybody else around or anything.
All I want to know is, did you purchase any puppies from her?
Yes, I purchased 2 for $400 a piece as a deal of helping her. Yes.
Do you still have them?
No.
What happened to those 2 puppies?
Well, they come up sick. So I called her and let her know that the pups was sick. She come and got them and said that she was going to go take the dogs to get shots. After that, I didn't hear from her. I found out from someone else that the pups had died. So that's when I got in contact with her, and she confirmed that she had to put the pups down because they had parvo.
You're saying no. Did you take the puppies back from him?
I did take a puppy back. He did have 2 puppies. Yes, he did. One I took back because I had the puppies that was going to be sold through the internet.
Just
through
a second.
company.
He took 2 puppies.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did he pay you for the 2 puppies?
None.
He paid you nothing?
Nothing.
So you gave him 2 puppies for nothing?
He had 2 puppies. One he said he was selling to his neighbor. So he actually ended up giving me $200 for that 1 puppy.
Okay, and the other one?
The other one he kept. One I took back because it was being sold. The other one he said was for his neighbor, and he gave me $200. He gave me $200, and that money was actually refunded.
Refunded to whom?
To Mr. Stevens.
Why?
Because when the puppy died...
Oh, so the puppy died?
Yeah. For all individuals who had a puppy and that puppy did not make it, they received their monies back.
Okay. Now, why in the world would you want to use her dog as a stud to make puppies?
Well, I usually have my own male, and when I bought him, he was already close to 2 years old, so and like I said before, they want to own a dog. So it was a chance that he would bite everybody else in the household. So I ended up getting rid of him to avoid that. And so that's why I chose to breed with her dog.
Do you have any proof that any of the puppies in the litter that he had in July survived?
No. When I contacted him on various occasions in regards to our agreement, he never responded.
Okay, your agreement with him was, when you had a litter of puppies, that you were supposed to give him
$50 on a puppy.
What do you mean $50 on a puppy?
Never.
No.
Never.
Our agreement was that if he helped sell a puppy, he would get $50.
So there was no stud fee involved?
When he...
In April?
When he contacted... no.
In April, was there a stud fee?
No, ma'am.
There was talk of no money but puppies?
Correct.
Okay. And what you're saying is that he agreed to give you $800 as a stud fee for your dog, and he...
There were no puppies that I asked for.
Listen, I don't know why. You said to me that you sold the 3 puppies that you had for $1,000 apiece. That means if he gave you 2 puppies out of a litter, you would have $2,000 instead of the $800 that you're suing for. But you had never actually exchanged any money with him, even in the previous litter.
What happened was that in the very beginning, he took 2 puppies with him. Yes. One of the puppies was for his neighbor. He gave me the $200 for that puppy, and he had one for himself.
It's not the truth.
What?
My mom's confused. She's nervous. Our dog had a litter
of 12 puppies.
Hold on, let me speak, 'cause you're nervous. Our dog had a litter of 12 puppies.
Who was the father of that litter?
Knight.
Is the father of the litter.
And who was the mother?
Our other dog, Ginger.
What did he have to do with that?
He had nothing at the time. A guy that goes to her church is brothers with this gentleman. He came to our house. The guy at the church came to our house. He said, I have a brother who knows about cane coursers. Can I bring him over? He brought this individual over to meet my mom. At that point, my mom had 12 puppies by herself. It was hard for her to take care of 12 puppies and work full-time at the hospital. This guy, it was agreement between them that he would take 2 puppies, and when he sold them 2 puppies, he would get $50 fee for helping her sell the puppies.
Never.
That was what agreement, $800 to stud his female.
Do you have a stud fee agreement?
I'll sit back down. Now you can speak, Mom.
No. You did fine. You did fine. You did fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Clearly, you had a stud fee agreement with her for $800. Your text messages established that. You understand?
And later today...
Why would they suspend your license if Veronica's car got tickets?
Because I was the one driving it.
What difference does it make? You mean your mother snitched you out and said my daughter was driving the car?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Juanita Phillips says Michael Stevens owes for an unpaid stud fee for her male cane corso.
So, do you have a stud fee agreement?
Did you have a stud fee agreement?
I'd like to see it.
There's not a stud fee agreement.
So there's not a stud fee agreement?
No, there's not a stud. It was verbally.
I'm asking you, was there anything in writing?
In text, yes.
I'd like to see it.
There you go, Mom. You would get so nervous. We weren't talking about this.
Hush.
I got you. Here's everything. Why you gotta text you back and forth? You gotta feel nervous like that.
Clearly, you had a stud fee agreement with her for $800. Your text messages established that. You understand?
Well,
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Genetically, something had to be wrong with the dog.
Well, I have paperwork from the veterinarian that Knight is fine.
It had to be for...
I also have the papers from the Cane Corso Federation.
You know, both puppies to lose.
As to where it shows that Knight is full breed.
Complete litters.
As to where I can't speak that for his dogs either.
All the puppies died, so I figured there was no sense in paying anything if we both lost.
Well, I'm glad of the decision that she came to.
Well, just really be more careful who you breed with.
This has been very frustrating because when you trust people or you...
And know the dog that you are breeding with.
Put your confidence in people, you just hope that they do the right thing.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Anderson versus Salazar. Step forward.
Mary Anderson is suing her daughter's former friend, 21-year-old Samantha Salazar, for car repairs, lost wages, and car rental fees.
How old are you, Miss Salazar?
I'm 20.
And that's her mother?
Yes.
How old is your friend?
She is 21 too.
How old are you?
38.
Okay. Now, on the date of this accident, your daughter and her friend were at your house.
Yes, I am.
And you were drinking with them.
I had a couple of shots with them.
You were drinking with them?
Yes.
And then, according to you, you went to bed?
Because I have to go to work the next day.
According to you, you went to bed?
Yes, yes.
You also have a son?
Yes.
How old is he?
18.
Where was he on the night of February 27th?
He is out with his friends.
How did he go?
How
did he go out?
He hasn't been at home for a while. He's been staying with friends.
Okay, so this is what happened. So the two girls were drinking with you. You go to bed, and you don't know what happens, but the next thing you get a call from your daughter.
Correct.
That there was a car accident. The car is badly damaged. Miss Salazar was driving the car. She was cited for driving while under the influence of alcohol, and you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
Miss Salazar says, well, I wasn't as drunk as your daughter, whose name is?
Caitlin.
Caitlin. So when your son called and needed a ride somewhere, she was put up a little bit. Am I getting this story right?
Correct.
And then you were in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were given a citation for drunk driving, or were you taken into custody? Both. Do you have a driver's license?
It's suspended.
Why was it suspended?
I have unpaid parking tickets.
That's a lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Anderson says her daughter's former friend, Samantha Salazar, wrecked her car when she drove it drunk.
Now, did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of a car was it?
It's a Buick Century 2005.
But you only had liability insurance and not collision.
Correct.
Was the car totaled? Or do you drive it? Do you have it?
It's drivable.
It's drivable,
yes.
But do you have photographs of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the photographs. While you're telling me, Miss Salazar, do you remember how the accident happened?
Yes, I do.
Well, why don't you tell me?
Well, her brother, Caitlin's brother, had called for us to go pick him up, and...
Is that true?
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
As we left, she wanted to still party, and she grabbed my hand while I was driving, and I got hit an oncoming car.
But the police came and you were given a citation for drunk driving, or were you taken into custody?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Do you have a driver's license?
It's suspended.
Did you have a good license on that day that you drove the car?
I did not.
Why was it suspended?
I have unpaid parking tickets, and I failed to appear court.
On whose car?
I'm sorry?
On which car did you have unpaid parking tickets?
Before I was be able to drive.
What?
Yeah, I had a license before when I was driving.
I asked you, on what car did you have parking tickets?
On my mom's car.
That's a lie. They wouldn't suspend your license if you had parking tickets on your mother's car.
Yeah, because I failed to appear court.
What difference does it make? They were parking tickets. It goes to the car, not to the driver.
Well, that's...
Yeah.
What it is.
If it's your mother's car, that's not why your license was suspended, for parking tickets. Do you not understand what I'm saying to you?
No, I do understand.
Well, then give me an answer that I understand.
That was the answer.
Well, it's an impossible answer. A police officer comes up to a car, he looks at the license number of the car that's parked in the wrong place, he leaves a citation on the car, and the car is registered in the name of, what's your mother's first name?
Veronica.
Veronica. Why would they suspend your license? You weren't driving. You said they were parking tickets.
Well, they're unpaid parking tickets.
What difference does it make? You mean your mother snitched you out and said my daughter was driving the car?
No.
Well, how did that happen, Miss Salazar?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you didn't have a license and you were drunk. How do you support yourself?
How do I support myself?
That was my question to you. I don't know how you support yourself. Only you would know that.
Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, how did that happen, Miss Salazar? Come on, this is not going to go away.
I don't know. It's just that's how I got my license suspended.
You got your license suspended for moving violations.
Yeah.
What moving violations?
They were from 2 years ago. From, can't remember. It's been like a long time.
So you didn't have a license and you were drunk. How do you support yourself?
How do I support myself?
That was my question to you. I don't know how you support yourself. Only you would know that.
I work.
For whom?
Home care.
Do you work every day?
My dad.
Okay. Do you have an estimate to fix the car?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
What kind of work does your daughter do, Miss Anderson?
She works for Yoshinoya, server, cashier.
Good. She's going to pay for some of this. Do you understand that?
Yes. I
Because
understand.
she was driving. She should never have been driving. She was drunk. She didn't have a license. There's no question about that. There's also no question that your daughter was in the car with her and gave her permission to drive. By being in the car, in effect, said to her, it's okay, we'll go pick up my brother. We have to go pick up my brother. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten in the car. Right?
Yeah,
Did your brother call you?
My brother
He called you. Didn't call her. Called her. Right?
Yes.
Right. Do you understand?
I understand.
Yeah, perfect. So the estimate that you have is for $3,141. And $1,000 of that I suggest you get from your daughter. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
This is where her hoard has come out of her bedroom. The smell of this was a homeless encampment with 50 cats.
You spoke to me about it.
What?
Next Judge Judy.
Well, somehow I let them drink, but I mean, as being them at age.
We were just drinking.
And at my house, I didn't think they would step out and do.
At a barbecue, at her mom's barbecue.
Reckless things like that. I mean, I went to bed.
It's a bottle of vodka.
Hoping they're just in the house doing what they're just having little fun.
I told her that I have unsuspended license and...
I didn't know that she didn't have a driver's license.
Yeah, she knew.
No, sir, I didn't.
She grabbed my hand and she was dancing and I just got distracted.
I just told her, like, you know, we should turn around. Like, I don't think this is a good idea, and she told me that.
Yeah, I just hit another car.
She's good to drive.
They just asked me a couple questions. They
asked me a couple questions, but
did a sobriety test, and I did not pass.
They took her in
jail.
I haven't talked to her since.
I learned my lesson. Not gonna drink and drive.
A motorcycle seller's creative accounting?
$100. I had pre-counted it myself. It had $2,000.
Then, more dents in their deal.
Anything happen on the test drive?
No, ma'am.
He tipped over the bike when he test drove the bike.
Where's the bike?
I sold the bike to someone else.
You're a wonder person. You should be a CEO of a big company.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. 25-year-old Efren Jamie is suing 25-year-old Christopher Velasquez for the return of a down payment for a motorcycle.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 49 on the calendar in the matter of Jamie versus Velasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Jamie, when did you meet Mr. Velasquez?
February 11th of this year.
It is your claim that Mr. Velasquez scammed you out of the down payment on a motorcycle. That's your claim,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Where do you come from?
Houston, Texas.
And where do you live, sir?
Houston, Texas as well.
And who is this young lady?
This is my witness, Ixamara Bando.
So what'd you bring her for?
She was a witness to what happened, to the agreement.
I understand this story. You saw an ad on Craigslist for a motorcycle that Mr. Velasquez was selling. On what date did you see the ad?
About January 23rd.
How did you contact him?
Cell phone call, and text message.
Have copies of those?
I have a phone records, yes.
I'd like
but
to
not
see
through paper. I have a phone.
I'd like to see them.
Scrolling up to the original date.
What happened on February 9th? You were supposed to meet on February 9th, so you could see the bike. What happened?
That was the original date for me to look and inspect the bike.
Right.
And I looked at it. I took some pictures.
No, just a second. Did you meet him on February 9th or not?
No.
No. So you didn't meet him on February 9th.
No, ma'am.
When was the first time you saw the bike?
The 10th.
Where?
At his mother's apartment and a local food store at H-E-B in Texas.
So you looked at the bike then?
Yes.
Was it as it was pictured?
Yes.
So you were satisfied with it?
Yes.
And then what did you do?
I asked him if we could write an agreement with each other since I had $2,000 in hand for him as a half payment towards the $4,000 that we initially agreed on.
What do you mean you initially agreed? Do you mean you discussed price before you saw the bike?
No. Once we met that first day.
You met the first day, which was which day?
The 10th.
Met on the 10th and you discussed price.
Yes.
And what price did you agree on?
The $4,000.
And?
And then we proceeded to the apartment so we can agree on payment. But then once I handed the $2,000 when I test rode the bike.
Just a second. Slowly, 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 slowly. This is on the 10th, and you brought money with you.
Yes.
$2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you test drove the bike.
Yes.
Before you gave him any money.
Yes.
Anything happen on the test drive?
No, ma'am. Just...
Did you like the bike?
Yes.
So, slowly, what did you do?
I...
Came back to where he was.
Yes.
And?
And I asked him about the pricings, and then we settled on an agreement.
And the bike is still there?
The bike was still there. No damages were done since the original pictures.
And?
And then we went to his apartment that was there, and then...
What did you go to his apartment for?
So we can have paper and pen so we can write an agreement.
So you were right at his apartment?
He was writing it there.
So he rode the bike to his apartment?
Yes.
And you were in a car?
Yes.
So now the bike is there, you go up to the apartment, and were you in the apartment?
Yes. And once we were in the apartment, we were counting, well, he was counting the money.
The $2,000?
It was short $100.
So it was $1,900?
Yes.
That you gave him?
Yes.
And?
And then he wasn't satisfied with the money that I had. It was straight from the envelope from a bank. The envelope came from a bank. I gave him $2,000. I had pre-counted it myself. It had $2,000.
And he said there was only 19?
Yes, ma'am. And then he wasn't satisfied with the amount of cash that I was 100 short. And he asked if we can agree to come and see each other the next day, which I had a notary done. And we agreed to note.
When did you have a notary done?
On the 11th, which is the next day when we...
So you came back. Did he keep the $2,000?
Yes.
Or did you take it back?
No. He held on to that money, but wrote it down and got it notarized.
Well, that was what you're talking about on the 10th.
The 11th, sorry.
Well, I want to know what happened between the 10th and the 11th.
The 10th, I got the money back, what was left. I received it back.
So you got the money?
Yes.
To his apartment?
No, ma'am.
To where?
to a UPS store to get the notarized done.
Okay, can I see what you had signed?
Yes, that's the first.
Okay, as rudimentary as it is, it's a bill of sale. You were accepting that you gave him $1,900. You also gave him another $500. So you gave him a total of $2,400.
Yes.
Then what happened?
And then that day we parted ways and later got another call from him asking if when we could set on a payment. We agreed.
Well, where was the bike at this time?
We agreed that he held on to the title and I held on to the motorized key.
So you had the key?
Yes.
And he had the bicycle and the title?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we agreed to meet back again the next week so I can give him another payment, and I wrote it down and didn't get it notarized, but he came to my job and we had it signed and paid.
And how much did you give him then?
$250.
So now in total you've given him $26.50.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then there's a paper for that.
I'd like to see that, please. Who wrote this?
I did.
Who wrote this?
I did. The top portion he wrote.
Is that right?
Yes.
Speak.
Yes.
Okay. $26.50. And?
And I gave him payment, and then we agreed to later communicate with each other. And within 4 days or a couple of days spent, he asked for another $1,000 just so he can have it gone and round up for me. And we didn't have no agreement plan or anything, but I did get a receipt from my bank saying that I withdrew money from my savings that I was going to go towards my school. But I told him it would be fine if I gave him the $1,000.
So he was discounting it by a couple of dollars.
Yes.
So if you gave him another $1,000, it would have been $36.50. So he was taking off the $250.
Yes.
Or $350. So you gave him in total $3,650. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, I never gave him $1,000 extra. No, he never gave me $1,000 extra, sorry. It was just the $2,600.
$2,650.
$2,650, there you go.
$2,650.
Correct.
And then what happened?
Well, he's saying he gave me $1,000. He never gave me $1,000. The original agreement was he was going to give me $2,000 down when you know on
$50.
No, he tipped over the bike when he test drove the bike. He tipped it over. He didn't tell you that that's what happened when we met at HEB's. He tipped the bike over. He didn't know how to ride the bike correctly. He's a first-time rider. He tipped it over and he scratched the fairing on the right side.
And
he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take care of it when I buy the bike. And she was a witness to.
You signed a sales agreement.
Right.
You wrote it that you were selling him the bike.
Correct. I did do that. And he was going to go ahead and...
I don't care what he was going to go ahead and do. You agreed to sell him the bike for $4,000. He gave you $2,650 so far. Where's the bike?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much were you advertising it for when you put it up on Craigslist for the second time?
I lowered it down to $3,500, I believe, or $3,000.
No. We're not talking about something that happened 5 years ago, and I don't want you to play stupid with me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Efren Jamie says Christopher Velasquez conned him over the sale of a motorcycle.
Go ahead.
I have evidence saying that he was going to give me 2 weeks with his signature, 2 weeks after he gave me the payment, because he was paying me, what he had. So I was kind of, receiving the payment and I was signed. But the last $1,000 he's saying he gave to me, he never gave me $1,000. As a matter of fact, I have a paper with his signature saying that he was going to pay me the rest of the money 2 weeks after. If not, I have the right to sell. I have the right to sell the bike.
Where's
I sold the bike to someone else.
You sold the bike. Give me the name of the person you sold it to.
I sold it to a guy from Lufkin. I sold it to him, and the reason why is because he...
Just pay careful attention to what I'm asking you. You sold it on what date?
I believe I sold it on March 13th.
Did you again advertise it on Craigslist? Did you again advertise it on Craigslist?
Yes, ma'am, after the fact...
Just a second. So, on what date did you put up the ad on Craigslist?
I believe March 10th or 9th, 10th. But the 2 weeks had passed already from 2 or 3 weeks past.
Just answer my questions. How much, it's very easy to pull up the ad, how much were you advertising the bike for when you put it on Craigslist for the second time?
Well,
Just as a figure, how much were you advertising it for when you put it up on Craigslist for the second time?
I lowered it down to $3,500, I believe, or $3,000.
About something that happened 5 years ago, and I don't want you to play stupid with me. How much did you advertise it for the second time you put it on Craigslist?
$3,500.
How much did you get for it?
$3,000.
We're not talking about a long time ago. You want me to believe anything you're saying? Make it accurate.
I didn't get the $3,500. I got like $3,200. And I don't have a bill of sale. I didn't bring a bill of sale for that. So it was like $3,200.
So now $3,200.
Right.
And according to you, you got $2,650 from him. 5, 8. So for a $4,000 bike that you were advertising for $4,000, you made $5,850. That's pretty good. You advertised a bike for $4,000 and you sold it for $5,850. You're a wonder person. You should be a CEO of a big company.
No, man, I wasn't trying to rip Ephraim off or nothing like that. It was
Then
just
why didn't you give him back at least some of the money?
Well, he was giving me the runaround how he couldn't give me the rest of the money.
Why didn't you, listen to me, when you sold the bike for an extra $1,850, why didn't you give him back $1,850 of the money he had given you?
Well, because...
Think about what you're going to say so that it doesn't sound stupid. Why didn't you give him back the extra money that you made so he wouldn't be out all that money?
Well, he was supposed to give me the other half of the money during that deadline. Or if not, I have the right to sell it to somewhere else, and it's on the paper.
I asked you a question.
And later today,
you drove the van knowing that you didn't have a license.
In my defense, I think that I should not be held responsible for this due to the fact that it was his negligence not having the taillight fixed.
No, sir. You should have never been behind the wheel of a car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Efren Jamie says Christopher Velasquez conned him over the sale of a motorcycle.
Okay, so just take a breath and think about it. You were selling a bike for $4,000 because he, according to you, 2 weeks went by, and it was barely 2 weeks because of all of these dates that you're giving me. It was just barely 2 weeks. Then you put an ad in the paper, and according to you, you sold it on March 9th. Sold it on March 9th. Didn't put the ad on March, sold it. So I'm asking you, why didn't you give him back the extra money that you made so he wouldn't be out all that money and have no bike?
Well, the agreement was that on the print that with his signature that he was supposed to give me the other half of the money during that deadline. So I wasn't trying to purposely sell it to someone else or anything like that.
I asked you a question. My question was, you had a bike.
Right.
You wanted $4,000 for it because he gave you money.
Right.
You managed to get, according to you, which I don't believe, $5,850.
Right.
The other person that you sold the bike to got a bike. You got an additional almost $2,000 for the bike.
Right.
That you didn't really expect, didn't deserve. It was his money. Why didn't you give it back to him?
Well, I just figured that, you know, since he didn't keep his other hand of the bargain, that, you know, I went ahead and sold it to someone else.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,650. We're done. Thank you.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
It was satisfaction. I was just wondering to get my money back.
If he didn't give me the rest of the money, I had the right to sell it, and he signed it and I signed it.
It was excuses after excuses.
He knew what he was getting himself into.
The dropping the bike. I'd never dropped the bike before.
He's a squid. He don't know how to ride.
I've ridden before.
Cash, you know, cash only, and, you know, and cash at hand before he test drive.
Careful with everything they do.
So if he drops it, you know, now that's his bike.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spriesterbach versus Neal. Step forward.
Robert Spriesterbach, 25-year-old Kyle Neal, for impound fees after he drove his van on a suspended license.
Mr. Spriesterbach, this young man is or was the boyfriend of your daughter, this young lady who is sitting here who clearly doesn't want to be here based upon her body language. And you tell a story in your complaint that just the bare bones part of the story. The bare bones part of the story was he drove your car. He didn't have a license to drive.
Right.
He was pulled over because your car or your van had a broken taillight.
That's correct.
When the car was pulled over, were you in the car?
No.
When the car was pulled over, they asked him for his license and registration, which he could not provide because he didn't have one.
Correct.
So they impounded your car.
Correct.
And you want him to be responsible for all the impound fees relative to that, which is $1,600.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Mr. Neal's defense is that but for the broken taillight, he would not have been pulled over. And the broken taillight was a result of your negligence because you failed to have it fixed. So you pay for your own impound fees. Is that your defense? You know, the backstory of this, where you were. What were you doing driving the plaintiff's car?
I had gotten off work and I went to her friend's house down in North Hollywood. And
This is her friend?
Riley's friend, correct.
How long have you and Riley been a couple?
We were a couple at the time, I'd say roughly 7 months.
Okay. And on what date was this accident?
I don't know exact dates, but sometime in October of 2015, 16.
No,
sorry,
we haven't
15.
gotten there yet.
Not yet.
So,
October 2015.
So you'd been a couple for 7 months.
Correct.
Keep going.
So I had initially gone over to meet Riley after I had gotten off of work, and the plan was to hang out after I had gotten off work, but they had stated that they were having a girls' night. After arriving at their house and not having a vehicle, I was told that I could borrow her vehicle to kind of putz around until they were done having their girls' night. I was then going to go to a movie store, buy some DVDs so we could go home later that night and watch DVDs. And after driving over, I was pulled over for the broken taillight. And after the broken taillight incident had happened and I was pulled out of the car and I wasn't able to show that I had any license or registration, the car was put on a 30-day impound hold automatically, thus creating this $1,600 impound fee.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
So now, Mr. Neal, this is not a difficult case.
No.
So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Let's say you had a license, and in the glove compartment was the registration for the car, and the policeman pulled you over. What do you think would have happened?
I probably would have been issued a fix-it ticket for the broken taillight.
Right. You would have been given a fix-it ticket.
Correct.
And he wouldn't have had to spend $1,600 to get his van out of impound.
Correct.
Well, then, sir, the $1,600 is on you because you drove the van knowing that you didn't have a license.
Understood. Typically, I mean, in my defense, I think that I should not be held responsible for this due to the fact that it was his negligence not having the taillight fixed.
No, sir. That would have resulted in a ticket. And the ticket would have said, if you fix this by next Tuesday, we'll do away with the ticket. You won't have to pay. The reason that the car was impounded is because you were driving without a driver's license. You should have never been behind the wheel of a car. That's your fault. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. We're done. Thank you.
Let's step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Engaged, you gave her a ring.
Correct.
You want the ring back.
It was my diamond. He gave it to me on Christmas Eve with the cubic zirconium in it. And he told me to take it in and to put my diamond in it.
Judge Judy.
I have to agree with the judge.
Well, I was very happy and very pleased that it went so fast.
Driving on a suspended license, and that was that.
If you don't have a license, you should not drive.
All in all, I'm just happy that the suit is over and taken care of so we could all go on with our happy lives.
Just do the right thing, and everything's cool.
I wanted to know what was going on.
A gardener's hostile encounter.
He caught me very angry, very mad. He spun around and he hit me with the ring. He pushed me like 3 times.
And this homeowner doesn't beat around the bush.
I'm a black belt in karate. If I had tried to hurt this man, he wouldn't be here right now.
What you just said to me doesn't necessarily help your case.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Frank Moorhead is suing his neighbors, Mark and Ninfa Casimiro, and their gardener, Hildy Sanchez, for illegal and assault.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 624 on the calendar in the matter of Moorhead versus Casimiro Sanchez.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Moorhead, you are neighbors of Mr. and Mrs. Casimiro?
Yes, ma'am.
Your properties are right next to each other. Is that right?
Correct. My backyard adjoins their backyard.
And how long have you lived there?
Roughly about 26 years.
And how long have you lived in your home?
26 years.
You've both been there for the same amount of time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's a tree that has clearly been a point of contention, probably not just this last time in February, but probably for a while. Did you plant the tree near the property line near their house, or was it there when you bought the house?
No, Your Honor. I planted it, I would say, 23 feet roughly from the wall that adjoins their side.
23 feet?
Yes.
Show me somewhere in the room where 23 feet is.
I'll say about from here to that pillar.
Okay. That's at least 20 feet. So when you originally planted it, you planted it 20 feet into your yard.
Correct.
And then it started to grow.
Yes, ma'am.
And it grew very big. And it grew so that some of the branches, and according to the defendants, the leaves from the tree, is it an evergreen or a deciduous tree? Does it lose its leaves or does it keep its leaves?
It loses its leaves.
And the leaves were going into their swimming pool. You have a swimming pool?
Yes.
And making a mess and or clogging the drain. Now, have Mr. and Mrs. Casimiro ever talked to you about it?
No, they have not, Your Honor.
Did they ever request an opportunity to talk to you about it?
No, Your Honor, they did not.
Have they ever trimmed the tree before?
Not to my knowledge.
Yes, so that could be.
Yes,
Your Honor, they did mention that at one point in this situation that they had called my wife and got prior consent.
Okay, just a second. I don't care about consent. They don't need your consent or your wife's consent to cut down a tree that is hanging over their property. I just want to know if they were being neighborly first and made a phone call. And the answer would be yes. They called your wife.
No, they did not.
Did you, at any time, when you started to have trouble with this tree, call Mr. Moorhead's home?
Senior, my mom, because we work, my mom is the one who keep in touch the wife.
Well, I don't know that.
Yes.
I don't know that at all.
Yes.
Because your mother isn't here.
Yes, Your Honor. But we don't need to ask his permission.
I didn't ask. You don't need his permission.
Yes.
But you've been neighbors for a quarter of a century. That would be a nice thing to do before you prune the tree. Okay, so this thing happened on February 23rd of this year.
Yes.
Correct.
According to you, the gardener, that would be Mr. Sanchez,
correct,
at the direction of Mr. and Mrs. Casimiro, trimmed the tree. And the issue is, did they trim the tree appropriately or not? You're going to show me pictures. I'm going to make that judgment. And then we're going to get to the next cause of action that you have against Mr. Sanchez, because when you claim that you complained about it, Mr. Sanchez assaulted you.
Correct.
No.
Just, shh, I don't want you to say anything. Mr. Sanchez is going to tell me, right?
Right.
Good. Okay, so now I'd like to see all the pictures of the tree, both before and after. Where do you live?
Palmdale.
Is most of this tree dead?
No, not at all.
No, no, no.
The branches on the ground is what they cut.
I'm looking at the tree as it's standing. I'm looking at the tree, what's left of it. It looks dead.
Well, it looks dead because they butchered it.
No, 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 no. It looks dead because it's dead. Everything else around it is green, except this, it's what?
The lighting. It's not dead.
Bird, does this look like lighting to you? This is green,
right,
and this is not, this has a leaf, and this has no leaf. Okay, all right.
You know,
Your Honor, the tree's not dead.
Trees in the winter.
On what date were these pictures taken?
Probably about 2:25.
So 2 days later?
Yeah.
There's no leaves on this tree.
It was winter time. I mean, you know, the tree hadn't bloomed yet.
Yeah, but the other tree, they live in Palmdale. All of the other trees are green.
There's a Chinese elm.
Do you see
everything falls off of
okay,
it.
fine.
If there was...
just listen to me. I see that they cut down branches from the tree. I don't see pictures of the tree where it was.
Your Honor, I have a picture.
May I please see it?
This is on the day, and this is after.
After a month, that one.
I see what you cut. I would like to see before you cut it, before it was cut. Who took a picture of it before it was cut?
Us.
Well, show me.
No. What I'm saying, Senor, is the one that is, Your Honor, is that's already cut that day after.
I'm just asking you if anybody has a picture to show me before it was cut.
No, Your
The answer is 2 pictures representative of the tree after they were cut.
Correct.
Is that correct?
I can't tell from here.
Correct, Senor. Correct.
Show me.
It might be. I'm not.
Well, you say it
perhaps.
might be, they say it is. Okay,
That's
fine.
the day.
And may I ask whether these hedges here are on your property or your property?
Our property.
Their property. So this is your property, and these were the offending branches that you cut?
Correct.
Okay, so you come home in February, Mr. Moorhead. At about what time did you get home?
I was already at home. I was watching TV. I heard a lot of noise, some sort of motor going. I look out the window, and I see a guy on top of the shed. The picture of the shed is there. And the big pile of branches from my tree, because, you know, gravity, physics, if you cut something and it's on their side of the wall, it falls on their side of the wall. If you cut it on my side, which you can see the picture shows 5 to 6 feet, it's going to fall on my property. It falls directly down. It's roughly 200 pounds of tree, I'd say.
What do you do for a living?
Prop master.
Not a gardener?
No.
Or a physicist?
No.
Keep going.
Okay. So when I see all these branches and everything, I know it's coming from there because he's standing on the roof of the sheriff's shed.
On their shed?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I come around I had to drive around the block because I live in the cul-de-sac.
Let's go slowly. Sure. So now you see what he's doing, and you got into your car.
Yes.
And drove around the block.
Correct.
And?
So I go up there, and there's nobody else around, and the gardener is walking around the front of the house with a blower and a rake.
This man?
No, that's wrong. That's right.
Don't speak. Don't speak. Go ahead.
Sorry.
This man is walking around with a blower and a rake.
Yeah, and he's blowing it. I'm trying to get his attention, and I'm yelling.
Just a second. I want you to tell me, he's walking around with one of those blowers that you carry on your back?
Right.
With one of these things?
Right.
So he's walking around with a blower and a rake. I want you to describe the rake that he was walking around with.
A metal rake.
A metal rake. Keep going.
Okay. So I go to tap him on the shoulder to try to get his attention so that I could talk to him. And as I reached up to tap him on the shoulder, he spun around and he hit me with the rake. I don't know if
You think that I believe that?
I don't.
Do
That's
you know
the
how?
truth.
Just a second. Maybe he'll tell me.
That's a lie.
Maybe he'll tell me that's true. Quiet. Mr. Moorhead, I have gardeners, all of whom I have seen at various times in which they've done the gardening. Never, not one time in 73 years have I ever seen somebody with a blower and a rake.
And the rake. Right.
I'm just telling you. Now, it's possible that Mr. Sanchez, that this was the way he does business. I'm just telling you from my life's human experience, I've never seen somebody walking around, blowing the leaves, and at the same time trying to rake them.
Do you think it could be possible that he was moving the rake?
No, you said he was blowing the leaves.
He was blowing leaves
You said he
and
was
he had a
blowing
rake.
the leaves. He was blowing the leaves and holding a rake. Those things are not easy to control with the things on the back.
Well,
okay, so you were, let me understand you, Mr. Moorhead. You were going to just tap him on the shoulder to get his attention.
That's correct.
And he sprung around.
And
when
he
you
caused...
got around, and when you got out of your house to drive around in your car, was there a fury that somebody had cut down your tree?
No, it was a curiosity.
Really?
I wanted to know what was going on. Why are they cutting my tree?
Were the police called?
Yes, after
Did you tell them you were assaulted?
Absolutely. You have the picture.
Just a second. Did you tell them you were assaulted?
Yes, I did.
And
Here's
did they,
the report.
Just a second. Did they arrest anybody?
No. They said because they
Don't
did
tell
not.
me.
Well, I have what they gave me. They said they were going to send me a report. They never did.
I'm not interested in what they gave you. All I'm interested in is a police report.
Okay.
Okay.
They
now,
said that
so he turned around and he hit you with the rake. So that's the second thing that you're suing for, the tree and the rake.
Okay.
That's the second thing that you're suing for.
That's correct.
Right. What I want to next see is your injury. I don't want to see a picture I want to see a
Well, it's
medical...
healed now.
I want to see a medical report.
Oh, I didn't do any medical report.
So you didn't go to see a doctor?
No, I'm just telling you the truth what happened.
You
have a picture.
Just a second. You told the police that a man assaulted you, and the police observed what they perceived to be, according to you, evidence of an assault, but they did not conclude that there was sufficient evidence to arrest the perpetrator of the assault, and you clearly did not think that it was a serious enough assault to seek any kind of medical treatment.
That's exactly correct.
Good, fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He pushed him a second time, and next to the third time, I tell him, I need help. I got a guy crazy here. He want to kill me. You know?
Lie.
I don't know where he come from.
That's
because I'm working.
Did you see how quiet he was, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Moorhead?
Go ahead.
Real cases, real says. Neighbors Mark and Ninfa Casimiro and their gardener, Hildy Sanchez, owe for damage to his elm tree and an assault.
Now, Mr. Sanchez.
Yes.
How long have you been a gardener for the defendants?
20 years.
Okay. Now, tell me about the tree limbs that you cut.
The tree is very high. The branches coming in the properties, my owners. And every year I trim it like this kind of 2 feet. Every year.
For how many years have you been trimming it?
Like 5 years, 10
okay.
years.
So every year you trim it because it hangs over?
Yes.
What happened this February?
Like February 23rd, like 8:30, because the owner, he told me, cut this branch early. Okay, because he got a swimming pool, and I got a lot of leaves, a lot of trash. I'm fine, you know. I told him, okay, I believe it. And I cut it with my sticks off. You know, I stay on the roof. And I cut it, and the branches, when I cut it, I think it's coming down this side. No, but it's a little bit heavy. It's good, and his property. And after
it fell sideways.
I cut the branches already. Okay, fine. And after I use my blower and I to clean it up, all the concrete, driveway, and the sidewalks. When this guy, he come in very angry, very mad.
Tell me what he said to you.
He said, I want to put in jail. You killed my tree, right? Like that, you know. I don't kill your tree, just I cut the branches. And he said, shut it out, the blower, and he pushed me like 3 times.
How did he push you?
When I use the blower like this, and I don't know behind me, you know, and then he pushed me like this.
For curiosity, sir, did you have a rake in your hand?
No, I can't.
Go ahead.
And he pushed me a second time, and next to the third time, and I go knock the door, my owners, I tell him, I need help. I got a guy crazy here. He want to kill me. You know?
Lie.
I don't know where he come from.
That's
because I'm working.
Listen, did you see how quiet he was, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Moorhead?
Go ahead.
When you were telling me your version of the story,
I was overwhelmed by his lie.
You were overwhelmed. I can see that you could get overwhelmed.
It was a lie.
I know exactly what happened.
Wow,
I got it visually in my mind.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm a black belt in karate. If I had tried to hurt this man, he wouldn't be here right now.
Mr. Moorhead, what you just said to me doesn't necessarily help your case.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Frank Moorhead claims neighbors Mark and Ninfa Casimiro are responsible for damaging his elm tree.
So, what's next?
And
you at home?
Yes, ma'am.
So you went to the...
Yeah, I knocked to the door and told her, I need help. And she coming out. So I touched the door hard, because this guy, he tried to kill me. I don't know what he wants, you know? And after she go out, and he run into the car, to the parking lot, outside. He don't want to stay in his property.
Who called the police? You did not call the police.
No.
You called the police.
Yes. May I clarify something, Your Honor?
Sure.
I'm a black belt in karate. If I had tried to hurt this man, he wouldn't be here right now.
Mr. Moorhead, what you just said to me doesn't necessarily help your case. I just want to tell you that.
Okay,
doesn't
that's
necessarily
fine. I'm
help your
tell you
case.
the truth either way.
Could we get to, you called the police.
Yes.
Now, you called the police from your house.
No, I went to my car. I did not want to be hit by the rake again. It's not a big deal being hit by the rake.
It's a lie.
I went to my car and I called the police because he had the blower thing going. When they finally came out, they said...
Just a second. Don't tell me what the police said, sir.
Okay,
that's
what would you
hearsay.
like to know? Okay.
That's hearsay for you.
I was at my car that was in the street.
And so you waited by your car.
Correct.
And the police came out, and you told them what had happened.
Correct.
Okay. They spoke to him. I assume the police spoke to you?
Yeah, he's talking to me.
And did the police speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they left. And no one was given a citation for trespass?
No, they hadn't seen the tree cut, so they couldn't do anything
listen to
about
me.
it.
Yes, they did.
Nobody's going to listen to that, sir, and it's going to be cut
I'm going
out
to tell you the
because
truth.
what you're telling me is
I'm going to tell you the
they
truth
didn't
either
see,
way.
You know, you're not going to tell me the story either way.
No, not the story, the truth.
No. You've
Yeah.
already told me, and I've given you lots of time to tell me your version of the truth, Mr. Moorhead. First of all, they have a right. Everyone has a right to the peaceful enjoyment of their property. And if you made a mistake and planted your tree 25 years ago so that its branches interfere with the enjoyment of somebody else's property, the responsibility actually should be yours.
Question?
I'm speaking. I don't answer your questions. I'm now ruling.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, the responsibility should be yours to make sure that you don't do anything to interfere with a neighbor's enjoyment tree, because this tree has no leaves on it. And you say you took it 2 days afterwards. So clearly the leaves have to go someplace. And if the leaves are going into their swimming pool, that's a nuisance. So you have to deal with it. And if you didn't plan right and plant the tree further onto your property so it could grow and not interfere with your neighbors, then you have to deal with that. You didn't. This gardener tells me every year he trims it a little bit. You didn't know that. You didn't even know that.
No, because he hasn't done that. That's a falsehood, too.
Okay. All right. And then
5 or 6 feet on my side of the property. How do you justify that?
you justify it if it was hanging over onto their property and causing damage to their swimming pool. That's how you justify it.
Well, I mean,
and you should have taken care of it.
As far as they reach with the pole, they can cut?
You should have taken care of it. And actually, if there is a complaint of an assault and evidence of an assault, the police always make an arrest. Right. The fact that they did not make an arrest suggests to me that if I had to believe a version of the story of this man walking around blowing leaves and carrying a rake and hitting you with the rake when you tapped him on the shoulder after you had whizzed around to the cul-de-sac to find out what happened to your tree, I have to go with the version of I didn't have a rake in my hand. So your case is dismissed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
An armed and dangerous neighbor.
And when I looked at my hand, there was blood on it. They still have that bullet inside my leg. They didn't take it out.
Next Judge Judy.
Well, first of all, I really trust my gardener, and I think it's the right decision.
Well, you know, it's a property rights situation, you know? When somebody takes a pole...
I believe that, you know, it's a ridiculous accusation.
...and cuts my tree as far as the pole will reach.
It's in our property over, and it's really...
And then leave me a pile of 200 pounds of tree to clean up.
We need to cut it because of the situation about the pool and all of that, so we need to clean it.
I mean, it's a property rights thing.
That first day, we always want to work out things with the neighbor.
Well, I'm not a vindictive person, but I am a truthful person. I don't lie, cheat, or steal.
You know, they said, love thy neighbor, you know, and he just took advantage of the opportunity.
You know, that they would is just, it's sad, really.
He had given me a proposal ring when we first got engaged, but that proposal ring was...
Listen, I don't have...
Called off.
When you became engaged, you gave her a ring.
Correct.
You want the ring back. She says the stone is hers.
It was my personal diamond.
This former bride-to-be says it was all bogus.
He gave it to me on Christmas Eve with the cubic zirconian in it, and he told me to take it in and to put my diamond in it.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Michael Carpenter is suing his ex-fiancée, Danielle Phillips, for money owed from a rebate and the return of an engagement ring.
Order. All rise. Case number 33 on the calendar, the matter of Carpenter versus Phillips.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Price has been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Carpenter, you and Miss Phillips were engaged.
Correct.
You're no longer engaged.
Correct.
Now, you have a couple of causes of action against her. Let's deal with the easy one first. When you became engaged, you gave her a ring.
Correct.
You want the ring back.
She offered to give it back, which I said I do want it back, and she said she would. And I have a text message showing that.
Just a second. You're entitled to an engagement ring back, sir, except she says the stone is hers.
And I've offered to have the stone removed for her, and she's had a...
Forms the basis of the ring.
Yes.
And you just had the stone set.
Correct.
Did you take the stone out of another setting?
Yeah, well, it was my personal diamond, but I didn't give it to him. What happened was he had given me a proposal ring when we first got engaged in 2013, but that proposal ring was...
Listen, I don't have time. I'm 73 years old. I asked you whether the ring was in a setting when you gave it to him.
Okay, so the setting, he...
Just listen to me. Did you just have a diamond laying around, or had it been another ring?
It was in another ring.
That's what I'm asking you.
But I didn't give it to him. Once he gave me the ring on Christmas Eve, the final proposal or the final engagement ring, he gave it to me on Christmas Eve with the cubic zirconium in it. And he told me to take it in and to put my diamond in it. So then later on, I did take it in. I think it was probably within the week.
What size stone was it?
It's a carat.
How much did you pay for the setting?
I think it was a couple $100, Your Honor. Actually, I can...
Get over it. Listen to me.
I'm not worried about
Listen to me. Get over it. Now, the next part of your lawsuit has to do with some sort of a rebate check for turf. According to what I read, while you were engaged, you had discussed putting in some turf in her house.
Correct.
Is that your business?
I do, yes.
What is your business?
I sell artificial turf.
What's the name of the company?
EcoWorks.
And how long have you worked for them?
About a year and a half now for them.
You work on salary or commission?
Commission.
So you got a commission for ordering the turf through your company?
Yeah, I do on my jobs,
You
yes.
get a commission for selling turf?
Correct.
From your company. How much did she spend for the turf?
She personally didn't give me any money. In December, when we did the job, she wanted to expand it, and she asked me to use the money that I would have spent on half the bills towards expanding that project.
What do you, Did you owe her money for bills?
Yes.
How much?
$2,100.
What bills?
Half the mortgage and utilities.
Why had you not given her the money?
I was about to. She said she wanted to expand the project on the 30th of November, and so I went ahead and told her, I don't have any more budget for this. You're going to have to contribute some of this, or we don't do it. I really didn't think we had the budget to do it at all, but she said she wanted it done, so I went ahead and did it, but told her she's going to have to contribute money towards it.
Okay, and the money she contributed was the $2,100
Correct.
that you gave her, which you owed her.
Correct.
So it was her money.
Yes.
So she paid $2,100 for this turf job.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Well, it goes back to going back to submitting for the rebate check.
She paid
almost $8,000.
Show me that you paid out of your checking account $8,000.
I have copies of checks, Your Honor, and receipts.
Now, why did you spend this money out of your account?
Your Honor, I had promised her that I would do the turf before we broke off our engagement.
Promised her that you would do it as a what?
Because we were living together. I had applied for the rebate myself for our house, thinking we would be together when I applied for it. It took 6 months to get.
Okay. The rebate check is like cash?
It is a check directed to us for tearing out our grass.
Now, did he pay $8,000?
Not that I know of. And I told him not to put any money out of his pocket because we were already broken up.
Okay, I just want to see where he spent the money.
Here are the receipts for the turf, and here are that one has the checks attached to it.
Good.
And then also I have copies of my checking account that I took pictures of.
Got it. And then you got a rebate check. She kept the rebate check.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you put in $8,000.
Correct.
And she put in $2,000.
Correct.
And how much was the rebate check?
$4,400.
So how much do you think you're entitled to?
The $444.
You're not. She put in a piece. She put in 25%.
Okay.
Right? Now, what kind of car did you drive when you were together?
I had and also
Just a second. What kind of car did you drive?
A 2012 Hyundai Sonata.
And what kind of car did you drive, Miss Phillips?
My Prius.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Phillips says she co-signed on the 2012 Hyundai Sonata for you. Is that right?
She actually bought it. I'm not on it at all, actually.
So she bought it?
Yes, for me.
As a gift?
As a couple. We bought it together as a couple. I was paying it.
You mean like the turf?
Well, I had already told her, I gave her a text message on the 28th of November that I was breaking up with her.
You mean like the turf?
Sure, Your Honor, yes.
So she bought the car that you drove.
Correct.
She had her own Prius.
Correct.
And there was a loan on the car.
Yes.
She says in her response that after you broke up, you dropped the car off at her house.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
And bought a Porsche.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Tell me what happened with the 2012.
I was making the payments all the way through March, still on the 2012 Hyundai and the insurance, and I had asked her if I could buy it from her, and I've offered several times to go down. I need the information to buy it.
From March?
I was offering this. I have text messages from February stating this.
I'd like to see them. So you wanted to buy the Hyundai?
Yes.
And she responded?
I never responded because I was just so hurt over the whole situation that I never answered.
Too bad, because I felt sorry for you for a moment. But if he said, let me buy the Hyundai from you, get it out of your name, put it in my name, and I'll take over the loan.
Okay, I did try to get him the loan in his name in February, and they denied him.
No, just a second. You can't try to get the loan in his name. He has to get the loan in his name.
But he was allowing me to do it. And when I did apply for him, he denied.
You just told me a moment ago that you weren't communicating with him at all or answering any of his messages because you were so hurt.
I was. That's right, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But in February, when I did contact him, and you could ask him, he'll tell you that, yeah, I did try to get the loan in his name. And when I did it, it was denied. He did say something about having his dad do it, but I was so afraid of even letting him drive the car away with me, it's only financed in my name. It's not even financed in his name. I was so afraid of him driving away with the car and just taking it and never paying payments on it. And then I was stuck. I'm still stuck either way.
Well, you're stuck either way. Whatever. You can't keep his rebate check, the whole thing. You're only entitled to a piece of $1,000, you put in $2,000.
But the turf that he used and whatever he's giving you for receipts, I don't believe those receipts. He has his own side business that he does on the side. He does work for his friend at EcoWorks, and they can make up numbers and they could submit numbers, whatever numbers they want to make up. He
shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's what the evidence that I have. Show me evidence.
The receipt that I do have pictures. The turf that he put into my house is the turf that he used from leftover jobs that he kept collecting on the side of my house. So I still have those. And you can see where it is pieced together. That
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. We're finished.
Excuse me, step out.
I should have known from the beginning he was a con artist. He conned me into buying him a car.
Well, obviously I'm happy. I'm glad to get that done and over with.
He conned me into putting my own diamond into my own engagement ring.
Well, obviously the ending of our relationship is pretty devastating for both of us.
And then now he tries to put free turf in my yard and then take the rebate checks that's supposed to be meant for me. Not going to happen.
I mean, I'll always love her, but I didn't like her actions at the time.
I have no idea. He just decided he doesn't want to be married. He didn't want to be married.
It was just a series of the relationship was ending.
In December, after he finished the turf, he went and he wanted to trade in the car.
I bought the Porsche actually later on as I was getting ready to get out.
For his Porsche.
I'd always wanted one, and we were going to buy one anyway, but yeah, I bought one anyway.
He's going through his midlife crisis, and he wants to drive a Porsche. Bald man, old fat bald man, go drive your Porsche.
I think it's time to go separate ways.
Nope, I'll never talk to him again, and I've learned my lesson.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Oglesby versus Matthews. Step forward.
William Oglesby for Lauren Matthews for hitting his car when she merged into his lane.
Two of you had an automobile accident. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. There was some damage to your cars, and each of you claimed the other was responsible for the accident, and therefore have a claim and a counterclaim. So, Mr. Oglesby, when did the accident take place?
Early January, ma'am. I don't remember exactly. I think it was around 26th, I want to say.
On what date did the accident take place?
The accident took place on the 29th of January.
What time?
In the afternoon. I think it's probably somewhere around maybe 4 o'clock.
It was in the late morning, about, I actually have the sheet from the officer. It happened at 11:52.
What kind of car were you driving, Mr. Oglesby?
BMW, ma'am.
What year?
97.
How long have you had the car?
Bought it new in 1997.
And what kind of a car were you driving?
A 2010 Ford Focus.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in May of 2014.
Okay, now, on the 29th of January, 2016, Mr. Oglesby, was your car insured?
Yes, ma'am.
With what carrier?
Progressive, ma'am.
And you had collision or just liability?
Liability.
And the policy was current?
Yes.
Was your car insured?
Yes, ma'am.
With whom?
Elephant Insurance.
Which one?
Elephant Insurance. They're smaller.
Liability or both? Liability and collision?
I have full coverage.
With a deductible?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your deductible?
$500.
And your car, I assume, was fixed?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have a deductible of $500?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Oglesby.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Reading the letter from your insurance company, Mr. Oglesby went left of center.
No. What I told them was that he had come up on my left side and collided with me. That's the exact words.
But that looks as if you hit the back of his car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Oglesby says fellow motorist Lauren Matthews hit his car when she merged into his lane. Lauren is countersuing for her insurance deductible and rental car fees.
Okay, Mr. Oglesby.
I'm here this morning, ma'am, to present information.
I want to hear what happened. You're 29.
So that I can explain. We were both traveling on Old Bridge Road. Old Bridge Road is a main artery through Northern Virginia off of the primary highway, but through basically a residential community, but it's an artery. We were both traveling here. Miss Matthews was traveling in the curb lane, and I was proceeding in the center lane. I passed Miss Matthews, decided to move into the left lane, and my statement proved that what the information was given to her insurance carrier, she moved from the curb lane, moved left. I didn't move. I stayed in this lane. In other words, she stated that I moved left, but if she moved left, I moved left, it never would have occurred. If she moved left, she's just validated the fact that she came into my lane, and I have that statement from her insurance carrier.
I'd like to see it. Okay, now you're going to show me what your version of these events are.
I was traveling in the far right lane, and on Old Bridge Road, that lane eventually turns into a turn-only lane, but I hadn't gotten to that part yet. So I decided to get into the center lane, and about 30 to 45 seconds after I got into the center lane, I saw Mr. Oglesby coming up behind me pretty fast. Driving a little bit recklessly. He was straddling the two lanes right here. I even slowed down so that he could cut me off, but he ended up hitting me anyway. He hit me with his rear passenger fender here on that Mr. Oglesby gave to the police officer was not entirely truthful at the time either.
I'd like to take a look at that report, but I'm reading the letter from your insurance company.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was already in the lane when he hit me.
How did he hit you with the back of his car?
Exactly. How would he do that by accident? I honestly think that Mr. Oglesby hit me on purpose because he was upset.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Oglesby says fellow motorist Lauren Matthews hit his car when she merged into his lane. Lauren is countersuing for her insurance deductible and rental car fees.
Now, your insurance company said that you stated to them, please be advised that our investigation, we have determined that our insured is not legally liable for the loss. We have conflicting stories regarding the facts of this incident. Our insured has stated that you went left of center, colliding with her vehicle. You have stated our insured went left of center. Did you tell your insurance company that he went left of center?
Originally?
Originally.
Okay, so what I told the insurance company is basically what I just told you.
No. Did you ever went left of center?
No.
Colliding with her?
No. What I told them was that he had come up on my left side and collided with me in the center lane. That's the exact words that
looks as if you hit the back of his car.
No, I was already in the lane when he hit me. I was already there.
How did he hit you with the back of his car?
I know, right?
No, just go over and show me. How did he hit you with the back of his car?
Exactly. it couldn't have been exactly. How would he do that by accident? I honestly think that Mr. Oglesby hit me on purpose because he was upset.
No. No. He didn't hit you on purpose because he was upset.
No, I believe he did.
I don't care what you believe. He's not a nut.
There's no way that he could have hit me when I slowed down for him. There was plenty enough room for him to merge without hitting me. He came up from here and then hit me over here with his passenger side on my driver's side.
I'd like to see the police report that you have. Can I see pictures of the damage to your car?
Yes.
Oh.
Your Honor, I don't have I couldn't find the picture.
I have pictures of his damage.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, the damage to his car is in the rear.
Yes, the rear passenger quarter panel.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, anybody want to say anything else?
Yes, ma'am. I don't need to say anything further on the diagram. However, ma'am, I like to address the kind of driver that I am. Knowing that I was coming to court and knowing that I would be in a situation of he said, she said, I figured the only thing that I could do was to get information where you could at least make a, hopefully, good decision based on my driving history. Here, I have a validation from the state of Virginia showing that I have the highest positive points on my driver's license. That +5, ma'am.
So the damage to your car?
That area there, and including the wheel.
Do you have an estimate for the car?
I have a repair, ma'am. I got the car repaired.
I'd like to see it. Your total bill was $935, is that correct?
For the repair, yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $935. The counterclaim is dismissed. We're done. We're done. Thank you.
You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You lost the card.
Well, I don't know if I lost it or if it was stolen.
And where did you get the card from?
Out there in the parking lot.
Don't say anything. You picked him as your witness.
Judge Judy.
Mr. Oglesby hit me, and he hit me so hard that it pushed me into the back into the right lane.
As I showed to the judge, you know, I have, 20+ years of outstanding driving?
Because the way he was driving when he came up in the left lane.
On my particular driving record in the state of Virginia.
He was straddling the lanes. There were other cars. It was a lot of traffic.
Highest possible positive points that one can have, which is a +5.
At the time, I was very shaken up.
I don't know if Ms. Matthew was working with...
Terrified. I didn't know if he was going to stop.
I want to make that claim, but, you know, knowing people of a certain age group...
They did not issue a citation because in the state of Virginia...
Good possibility, I don't do it.
A certain amount of damage has to be made in order to place blame.
They should take responsibility, and they should not drive fast and reckless.
Drive safe. Honestly, you put your life on the road when you get in your car.
An armed and dangerous neighbor.
Moore was shooting the BB gun rifle at the time that the victim got shot.
And when I looked at my hand, there was blood on it. They still have that bullet inside my leg. They didn't take it out.
And this trigger man starts to feel the heat.
How old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Ever been arrested?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Twice.
This has to do with logic.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Silviano Romo and his wife Blanca Martinez are suing their neighbor, Christopher Moore, for hospital bills after Christopher shot Blanca with a BB gun.
That's case number 44 on the calendar in the matter of Romo Martinez versus Moore.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Tell me your name.
Gabriela Sosa, certified Spanish interpreter. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Ms. Sosa, you are interpreting for Ms. Martinez?
I am.
And you are her husband?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you and your wife were walking on March the 16th of this year.
Yes.
Where were you going?
We was going to a couple blocks away from our house. There's an opportunity for apply for a job for her. So I was walking with her to that store.
To apply for a job?
Yeah. And halfway, it happens, the incident.
Okay. Would you ask her to describe to me what happened?
Descríbame, por favor, lo que sucedió.
Okay, íbamos caminando.
Okay, we were walking
Tiny Street.
Down the tiny street.
Cuando de pronto sentí
when suddenly I felt a strong impact
levantó mi pierna.
That lifted my leg up.
Ardor, caliente.
Burning, it was hot.
Me dolía.
And it hurt and it hurt.
¿Qué pasó?
What happened? What happened?
Y volteamos.
And we would turn around.
Y ya cuando vi mi mano,
and when I
tenía
looked
sangre,
at my hand, there was blood on it.
Y en 2 minutos,
and
mi
in
esposo
2
marcó al 911.
My husband called 911.
Llegó al área,
they
todo,
began looking in the area and everything.
Que nos dispararon.
And my husband said that we had been shot.
Inmediatamente checaron
and immediately they checked the apartment.
Y sacaron a los 2 chicos.
And took those 2 boys out.
Les recogieron el arma.
They took their weapon away.
Ya de ahí yo me llevaron al
One
hospital.
of the boys,
and they took me to
is this boy here?
¿Es este muchacho aquí?
Yo no lo conozco.
I do not know him.
Ellos estaban en un departamento arriba desde una ventana.
Above, shooting from a window.
You didn't see them shooting.
Usted no los vio disparar.
No.
Do you have a police report?
¿Tiene el informe de la policía? ¿Sí?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you understand, Mr. Moore, this is a civil trial.
Yes.
You understand the difference? How old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Have they been arrested?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Twice.
You were arrested for this incident?
Right.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's far more latitude in a civil trial than there is in a criminal trial. The quantum of proof is different. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I want you to also understand that I have a particular aversion when people lie to me. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell me about Mr. Kelly.
What do you want to know about Mr.
Everything about Mr. Kelly. Specific than that. I want you to tell me everything about Mr. Kelly. How you know him, how long you know him, whether he's a friend of yours. I want you to tell me about Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Kelly is a friend of mine. I've been knowing him for about a year now.
And he's a friend?
Yes, he's a friend.
Is he a liar?
Not from what I know of.
Because you wouldn't hang around with liars, would you?
Right.
Has he been arrested?
Yes, he has.
For what?
For the same thing I was arrested for.
What else?
That's all that I know of.
What else were you arrested for?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? That's I'm speaking English.
The time that I was arrested before this?
Yes.
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy to what?
To theft.
Now, are you the girlfriend?
Yes.
Stand. Give me a name.
Ariel?
Do you live with him?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
You're 18. And where does your family live?
My family actually lives right down the street in the same city.
Great. And they like that you live with him?
Yeah.
Great. That's terrific. Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Does he work?
Yes, he does.
Great. And how many BB guns does he keep in the house?
Just 2.
And you know Mr. Kelly?
Yes, I do.
Were you home with Mr. Kelly and your boyfriend when the police came?
Yes.
Is Mr. Kelly a liar?
No, not the one I
Mr.
know.
Kelly, not that you know of. He's always been straight with you, never tried to do anything?
Yeah, he's actually a very straightforward person.
Very straightforward person. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Did you ever read the police report in this case?
Didn't.
Well, I'm going to read you the police report in this case, okay? Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
The police officer spoke to Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly said that he and your boyfriend were shooting BB gun rifles from the upper balcony in front of their apartment at the time of the incident. He told me they were taking turns shooting at the television that had a target painted on it. Mr. Kelly, who you say is a really nice, honest guy, said he stated Moore was shooting the BB gun rifle at the time that the victim got shot. Kelly stated she must have been struck by a ricocheted bullet because they never saw her until after the fact, and they were not shooting towards the sidewalk but at another target in the field. Kelly said they got scared when they heard the police coming. They went to their apartment and hid the rifle in the attic. They did not want to answer the doorbell because they were scared of getting into trouble. That's what Mr. Kelly said. Now, do you want to hear what your boyfriend said?
Yes.
Okay. But first, before I let you hear what your boyfriend said, as far as you know, Mr. Kelly does not have any psychiatric disabilities, correct?
No.
He's never been hospitalized for delusional behavior.
No, he hasn't.
Is he a drug abuser?
No.
Well, then I would have to come up with a really good story. This good friend of your boyfriend's, this somebody who you describe as a really good guy, would he make up this story? Because now I'm going to read to you what your boyfriend said to the police about the same day. Are you ready for that? And then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Ariel?
Yes.
Yes, nice. Mr. Moore told me that they have been living there about 2 weeks. He went on to say that he owns 2 BB guns, a rifle with a scope, and a pistol with a silencer. He told me him and shoot at a television that has a target painted on it on the field directly south of the apartment building. On the day of the incident, Moore told me he had not been shooting the BB gun at all and was not sure how the lady got hit. He told me he hid the BB gun in the attic because he was scared of the police who were knocking at the door. Now, are those two stories the same?
No, they're not.
Well, I can think of a reason why he would tell the police his story, that they weren't shooting the BB guns that day off the balcony. But I can't think of a reason that Kelly would tell the police that they were shooting the BB guns off the balcony. Why don't you try to tell me? Maybe I'll learn something. Tell me why you think Mr. Kelly confessed to the police that the reason that they hid the guns because they knew that they would be in trouble.
Well, no, see, the reason why the gun was up in the attic
No,
was
don't tell me the reason why. That's not what I asked you, Ariel.
Okay.
You may get over on your parents with that sweetness, but you're not going to get over on me. I asked you why Mr. Kelly would make up this story.
Well, honestly, I don't know.
I don't
as
know
well
either.
as I do, so for him to lie, I have no idea.
I don't know why. Well, one of them is lie. Just a second.
I
want
just
you to
come home when the police had knocked on the door, so I was just
You're trying to talk over me. It's my show. So the question is, do you still go to school?
Yes, I do.
Well, stay in school, because this has to do with logic. You see, there is a logic in somebody lying and saying, it wasn't me. It's logical. I could understand why somebody would lie and say, listen, nobody saw me. They didn't really see me. They just found the bullets in front of my door, right? Right? But I can't think of a reason why somebody would lie and inculpate themselves. Lie and say, yeah, it was me. We were shooting the guns off that day, when it wasn't true. I can't think of a reason.
Yeah,
you know why I can't? You know why I can't think of a reason? Because there is no reason, unless you're a psychotic, unless you're a psycho.
Well, if Kelly was here to represent him.
You can't tell me why, because there's no logical reason.
I don't know him. I don't talk to him like that, so I have no communication with him. I have communication with my boyfriend.
You've never read the police report. That's why you have to stay in school, Ariel. You know, you have to come with something more than a cute smile and papers in front of you. Okay, so police did a search. They've checked the trajectory of the bullet. They've determined that it came from a particular location. You rent the apartment and you were returning home.
Yes.
You allowed the deputies inside and signed a consent to search, right? Because they had found a BB outside.
Yes.
Yes. And they found a large loaded air rifle, scope for the rifle, a carton of BBs from inside the apartment. Further investigation of the area outside the apartment revealed a shattered sliding glass door. How'd that get shattered?
I have no idea.
Did you sign a lease for this apartment?
Yes, I did.
Great. I hope you have a good job, because all the damage that they're doing in the apartment, you're going to have to pay for. Hope you have a really good job.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
His Chihuahua didn't destroy the blinds, and his Chihuahua didn't destroy the door.
I understand that. If he's not there, how does he know the dog did it, though? How do we even know any dog did it?
Oh, don't be stupid. Don't. You sound ridiculous.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Silviano Romo and his wife Blanca Martinez claim neighbor Christopher Moore shot Blanca in the leg with a BB gun.
Now, how much were her medical bills? How much were her medical bills?
Hasta ahorita son
up until present
2,600 porque todavía tengo la bala dentro de mi pierna.
Because I still have that bullet inside my leg. They didn't take it out.
May I see the photographs, please?
And they could hurt me by doing so.
Fotos. En vivos.
Bills.
Hospital.
You want the bills to
Report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mis gastos todavía no terminan porque tengo eso
My
dentro de mi
expenses
pierna.
still have not ended because I still have that thing inside my leg.
Necesito esperar que asome un poquito más a una superficie donde me la
They're
puedan
waiting
quitar.
to see if it can move towards the surface so they can then extract it.
Tengo todo este tiempo con molestias,
This whole
las
time it's been
primeras
hurting. The
semanas,
first
sin poder
week, I
sentarme,
couldn't sit
sin
down.
hacer ejercicio, sin
I
caminar.
couldn't do exercise or walk.
I have to tell you something. You know, is your name the only one on the lease?
Well, me and, well, actually, yeah, he's actually listed on there as well.
He is too? Did you tell him to get the BB guns out of the house?
Did I tell him to get the BB guns out of the house after the incident?
Yes.
Yes.
Are they out of the house?
Yes. We still have action. So, yeah, they're definitely not in the house.
I would suggest that that's a very good idea to keep them out of the house. You agree?
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,600. We're done here.
Oh, is that excuse? You may step out.
Thousands of people can have a BB gun.
It's just anger.
And thousands of kids on that block made up have a BB gun.
It's not a fault to just go walk by and somebody just decide to shoot you.
I'm being blamed for it and I didn't do it. That's why I don't feel bad now.
We don't ask for nothing to get in trouble. We just ask for...
No, it's not going to change me from doing nothing that I want to do, you know.
Be fair, pay for what they done, the damage they caused.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cook versus Lukomsky. Step forward.
Duran Cook is suing his ex-boyfriend, Kenneth Lukomsky, for damage to their apartment caused by his dog. Kenneth is countersuing for the cost of a purebred coonhound.
Mr. Cook, you and the defendant were in a relationship. Were you living together?
No.
So you each had your own apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
There came a time when, according to you, Mr. Lukomsky brought over his dog to your house.
Yes.
On what date was that?
It was in January. I don't remember at least around the daytime, but it was
January of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
During the day?
Yes.
Were you at home?
Yes, I was.
Tell me about what the conversation was between the two of you.
Well, he said that he would be coming back or whatever and never came back.
Not whatever. This is a courtroom, so it has to be specific. He brought over his dog. What kind of dog was it?
I don't really know dogs, but he told me it was a coon dog or some type of hound dog. I'm not for sure.
What kind of dog?
A coon hound.
Coonhound. How old?
He was just a little under a year old. He was a puppy.
So he was a puppy.
Yep.
You brought it over to Mr. Cook's. Why?
I was an over-the-road truck driver, and contrary to what he said, I did call him first because I know he works multiple jobs. I didn't know if he was actually at the house at the time, and I had explained it to him and said, you know, this is just a temporary, you know, arrangement. I don't have a place because I already have 6 other dogs, and we're working on integrating this dog into the family with my other dogs so that, you know, there's no aggression. You know how puppies are. They can, you know, get under the skin like children do with their mothers and fathers. So, you know, I had asked him if he could just help out temporarily with a place to keep the dog, and he had agreed. I don't just drop people off or items off at people's houses unannounced.
Okay. Were you in a long-term relationship with Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Well, that sounds reasonable. Did Mr. Cook have a dog of his own?
Yes.
What kind?
A Chihuahua.
And the reason you're here is that the dog did some damage in the house. Whether he left the dog, didn't come back for the dog, whatever it was. And you want him to be responsible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is not a dog you were attached to, clearly.
No, but this is the dog that I had wanted for a long
but
time.
you clearly said to him, just drop him off at the Humane Society, they'll get him a good home.
Right, I was being sarcastic because he was blowing my phone up.
Clearly not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Duran Cook says ex-boyfriend Kenneth Lukomsky owes for damage to their apartment caused by his dog.
Now, he has a counterclaim. He said that, well, the dog may have done some damage, but he didn't give you the right to get rid of his dog, which you did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so he brought the dog over on the 27th. On what date did you get rid of the dog?
I got rid of the dog actually 2 days later.
On the 29th?
Because the first day I came home, the blinds was messed up in my living room and the blinds was messed up in my room. So I texted him, you know, and I told him, like, hey, the dog got to go. Because I already was upset because I didn't ask him to bring the dog, you know. So the dog messed up my blinds. So the second day, I put him in the bathroom, not thinking nothing of it. And I came home, and the bathroom door was scratched, the panel on the side was scratched, and the towel was put up, as well as, like, feces was on the bathroom as well.
That could have been your dog.
And my dog has a cage, so of course she wouldn't do that.
Who did you...
He told me to drop it off at the Humane Society, so I feel like...
I'd like to see that.
Okay. And it was like an instant, just drop him off at the Humane Society. So if you pay so much money for it, why would you tell somebody to take you there?
Do you have the emails before and after this? Where did you get this dog from?
When I went to a new trucking company, one of my transportation supervisors had talked to me about it and said that him and his wife had recently moved, and the type of coonhound it is, they're very hyper dogs. They demand a lot of attention.
Just a minute. Just tell me when you got the dog.
I got him like 2 days after I started this new job.
On what date?
January 10th.
So you only had the dog for a couple of weeks before you turned the dog over to the plaintiff?
No, actually, I had the dog a little under a week.
I thought you said the 27th is when you dropped him off.
No.
On what date did you drop him off?
I had to drop him off on the 10th because I started my job on the 8th, and I only found out about the dog prior to that, but didn't acquire the dog until 2 days after I started my new job.
So this is not a dog you were attached to? Clearly.
No, but this is the dog that I had wanted for a long time.
But you clearly said to him, just drop him off at the Humane Society, they'll get him a good home.
Right, I was being...
How is he supposed to? He's been complaining to you that the dog is destroying his house. Come and get him. And you say, I'm not home.
But how can he prove it's my dog? I've been to his house, and his dog doesn't listen to him at all. His dog will urinate on the floor.
I'm sorry. I have a picture of him and the dog.
It's not a question that you have to resolve.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, I'm just dealing right now with your counterclaim, which I'm dismissing. Because you told him to drop the dog off at the Humane Society. So that takes care of that. Now, I'd like to see pictures of the destruction.
Okay.
So you actually never had the dog in your house?
Yes.
You did?
Yes, I did. And my uncle had the dog for a couple days, but he had told me that given his house and his work arrangements...
Don't tell me what your uncle told you. Mr. Cook, do you own this apartment?
Yes.
Do you have the bills for the blinds and the door?
Yes.
His Chihuahua didn't destroy the blinds, and his Chihuahua didn't destroy the door.
I understand that. If he's not there, how does he know the dog did it, though? How do we...
Is this the only estimate that you got?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $25,4361. We're done. Thank you.
Where's the excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A young couple struggle.
Our electricity was shut off. We couldn't gather money for rent.
The plaintiff never paid any rent.
No, ma'am.
Are you her mother?
Yes.
She's not old enough to be on her own.
I know.
Judge Judy.
Very frustrating, especially when it's not my dog and I have a little dog and I leave her in my cage every day.
You can't prove that a dog did that, especially if you're not there.
So when I came home from work, and I just was like...
And I gave him instructions on how to care for the dog, and he chose not to do it.
Like, yeah, over it.
I hope it's okay. I hope it has a good family. I mean, that's the best I can hope for.
I'm just excited that it's over with. I can finally just move on with my life and do what I gotta do.
A young couple struggle.
Our electricity was shut off. We couldn't pay that. We tried to...
Money was tight.
But should his girlfriend...
The plaintiff never paid any rent.
No, ma'am.
Have stayed home?
My mother knows the agreement that we had.
No, don't tell me what your mother knows. Are you her mother?
Yes.
Well, she's not old enough to be on her own.
I know.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. 21-year-old Caroline Dillow is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 23-year-old Everett Bias, for breaking their lease and an unpaid loan.
Order. All rise. It's case number 3 on the calendar in the matter of Dillow versus Bias.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Dillow, this used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore. And you lived together for a while. He rented an apartment. Your name was the only name on the lease. Two of you broke the lease because there was a third person in the apartment who went to jail. He wasn't paying his rent. You weren't paying the rent. Make a long story short, now the landlord is suing you for breaking the lease, or has at least sent you a letter saying you are the only one that we can go against. You owe us $40.
Correct.
First, I want you to show me the collections letter from the lawyer. Then I want you to show me your check for your half.
Okay. I have this for that, and I have not paid the other half of the lease because I was responsible for paying for groceries.
No, I don't want to hear responsible paying for groceries. In your complaint, you said, I paid half the bill and expect Everett to keep his word and pay the other half. That's what you said in your complaint.
The other half, meaning I paid our insurance.
No. That same month, I received a letter from our landlord billing me for the remainder of the lease, cleanup and repairs totaling $4,800. Everett still swore that he would split the bill with me. I paid half the bill and expected Everett to keep his word and pay the other half. There's no groceries in there. So the answer is you did not pay.
No.
Your half.
Not yet. He hasn't paid his half, so I didn't pay the other half.
He doesn't know it, if you're on the lease. When did you move in?
We moved in January of 2014.
When did you move out?
9/9 of 15.
Why didn't you move out the first?
That's when we turned in our keys and it was official.
Because I see that he's charging you for September's rent.
Yes.
Why is he charging you for September's rent? Why were you there until the 9th?
We worked and we were moving in and out to his parents. 21.
Are you her mother?
Yes.
Well, she's not old enough to be on her own.
I know.
And what do you do?
Full-time cook.
Well, tell me why you moved out, Mr. Myers.
Her and my mother originally got into an argument, and she refused to live there any longer. So being in a relationship that we were, I followed her instinct, and we decided to get an apartment together.
Am I asking you one question, you're answering another question? Why did you move out?
Because I wanted to move out.
Why?
I did not want to live with my mother and father anymore.
We're not talking about mother and father, we're talking about this apartment.
Why did we move out? Because I could not pay the rent all by myself. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about another instance. Yes, ma'am.
This apartment. Okay, so you were paying the rent all by yourself?
The other roommate was paying his half, and I was paying our half. He was late on his half most of the time. I was paying all the late fees, all the utilities, and I have evidence for the utilities.
I'd like to take a look at that. And what about Miss Dillow? What was she paying?
As she said before, she was paying for groceries and her insurance, and her mom had taken her to get a car for her to go back and forth to work that was very reliable, but in the long run, the car payment and the insurance was a little too overmuch for her to deal with. She had to focus all her time and all her work and all her money into what she needed to be able to go back and forth for.
So is what you're telling me she didn't contribute to your half of the rent?
Yes, ma'am.
And your half of the rent was how much?
$300.
For the two of you?
Yes.
So the whole rent was $600?
Yes.
And how many months did you live there?
20 months, give or take. We lived there for a previous year, and then we signed another lease, and that was signed in March, and we moved out in September.
So is what you're telling me, for the 20 months that you lived there, the plaintiff never paid any rent?
No, ma'am.
Is that correct?
That is correct. That is because we went and got the car. That was our agreement. My mother knows the agreement that we had.
No, don't tell me what your mother knows. You tell me.
We had an agreement that I would pay the groceries, the essentials for the house. I also paid for both of our car insurances and my car payment.
You mean his car insurance was on your policy?
Yes.
No. My insurance was my car was on another insurance policy by itself, and then I later wrecked the car, and I did not have a car, so I was driving her vehicle along with her driving hers as well. So we were sharing the car and the insurance. I offered to pay it. She said she has it. I was to worry about rent and utilities.
You pay the utilities as well?
Yes, ma'am. Electrics and internet, cable.
I have a bill for the electricity that was not paid.
So during that 20-month period, he actually believed what he's saying, that you never covered his car on your insurance, that he had his own insurance, but he totaled his car, and then he used your car, which may have added another driver to your insurance if you, in fact, added another driver to your insurance.
That is incorrect. It was on his policy, and I paid for it.
Well, show me. Show me that you paid for his policy.
I don't have that.
Now, the financial trouble started because the third roommate went to jail.
Originally, there was 3 roommates that we went through. The first one, he moved out. The second one, he didn't want to pay anything. The third one, he went to jail, and he also didn't want to pay anything as well.
Who found these people?
Not me, Your Honor. Not me. They were friends of a friend. It was someone that I helped by. It was a sticky situation. I made the best of what I could make of.
When you moved out of this apartment, where did you go? I'm asking him things because I'm going to get more honest answers from him.
We went back to my mother's house and lived rent-free.
So after you left, you went to your mother's house after you broke this lease. In what month did you go to your mother's house?
September.
And how long did you stay there?
I'm still there.
When did you leave?
I left in January.
So September, October, November, and December, you lived for free also at his mother's house?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at Patheon, which is a factory.
Okay. Now, I want to go back to when you started living in this apartment. I want to start with you. You lived there for 20 months, did not contribute to the rent. Okay, but then you decided to renew the lease with her. And you renewed the lease, and she is the only one on the lease. Is there any reason for that?
We tried to get my name put back onto the lease, but we found out that it would cost an additional fee for us to change that, and she agreed not to pay it, so...
Okay, so clearly, if you signed a second lease with
She signed it, I did not.
But you stayed with her?
Yes.
You agreed to stay together?
Yes.
You weren't dissatisfied with the arrangement that she was, in fact, not paying rent, but covering other expenses for the house. Your rent was minimal, and hers would have been $150 a month. Well, if she was buying all the groceries and the food, then she was spending at least $150 a month.
Bare essentials, toilet paper, bologna, cheese, bread, barely $60 a week. Barely.
Well, $60 a week, sir.
It was not enough for 3 people.
Listen to me. $60 a week times 4 is $240. Your whole rent was $300.
Sometimes $380, Your Honor, just because of late fees.
All right. It's clear to me that you did, in fact, have an arrangement whereby you would be paying certain things and she was paying certain things, and they equaled themselves out. Your problem started when you had roommates who didn't take care of their portion of the rent because your arrangement with her was totally different. My next question to you, fee, is $4,800 that is being requested by the landlord.
How so?
Did you have a discussion with her when she received that bill?
She said she would take it.
Well, tell me about it.
I paid for the 2 years, and she agreed that she would just take it.
No, not agree. I want you to tell me where you were when you had this discussion, what you said to her and what she said to you.
We were at the apartment trying to figure out what we were going to do. Our electricity was shut off. We couldn't pay that. We tried to gather the money. We couldn't gather the money for rent. So we just decided that we would just move out and we would deal with it then. And since we lived there for the months that we lived, she would take her half. She would do her half. That was that.
She would do her half. Who was going to do the other half?
Her.
So she was going to do the whole thing?
Yes.
Is that what you say? She would do her? No.
Your Honor,
What?
we had a conversation at his parents' house right before I left, stating that we would split it and that he would pay monthly on it. We both agreed that we would bring money when we had the chance every month to pay it off.
Okay. So Southwind Apartments, am I correct?
Yes.
Gets a check for $2,850. Not you, right? No. Southwind.
Southwind.
Great. Now, I believe her. I believe that you had a financial arrangement with her, what she paid for, what you paid for. But now at the end of the day, even though she is fiscally responsible because her name is on the lease, you lived there for 2 years. You yourself, the second time, was that there was an additional fee and that you both didn't want to pay the additional fee. Clearly money was tight. I think that you owe Southwind Apartments half of this, and she's going to have to take care of her half. But this check comes from you in the amount of $2,420. We're done. Thank you.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
For the time that we lived there, I feel like I held up my end of the bargain. I feel like she could hold up hers.
It's extremely frustrating.
It's honestly made it a little bit more, the tension greater.
He got mad at me and refused to even conversate with me.
Before, it was okay, but...
After everything, so...
Ever since she started hounding me for money, it just made things worse and worse.
Don't do it.
All of us can just get on with our lives and be able to go forward.
The worst thing ever, to mix money.
Wish the best for everybody.
Lesson learned.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cup, Weeks versus Vaisfeld. Step forward.
24-year-old Kylie Cupp and her father, Kevin Weeks, are suing Kylie's ex-boyfriend, Ilya Vaisfeld, for the negligent handling of her personal belongings.
Mr. Vaisfeld, you and the plaintiff have a 5-year-old child together, is that right?
A 6-year-old child.
And you have physical custody of him, is that right?
Yes.
For how long have you had physical custody?
Like a year now, a year and a half.
Is that court-ordered custody?
Yeah, I do have a paperwork from the court to be one, but nobody ever showed up to it. So that's why I got default custody, yes.
Okay, and actually, you're really not involved in this case. You can sit down. You're her father, right?
Yes.
You can sit down. Now, the plaintiff visits with the child?
Yes.
How often?
Like every day, pretty much.
Every day?
Yeah, she comes and sees him every day, pretty much.
And where does she live?
She lives with her mom.
Just her mother?
Yeah.
Not her father?
No, as far as I know.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and this is what I gather from the story.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you get legal custody of your son?
It's not true.
And
you've had detectives tell you that that's not true. That paper is not real.
Stop it. You two of you are idiots. Just too bad you made a child who was probably cared for by a lot of other people, clearly not you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kylie Cupp says ex-boyfriend Ilya Vaisfeld disposed of her father's vintage Fender guitar. Ilya's countersuing for stolen money.
Now, she comes over regularly and evidently keeps some stuff in your apartment. Like what?
Like all my clothes, like...
Well, then if you keep all your clothes there, then you live there.
I was living there.
Were you living there on December 12th?
At that point anymore, because my mom told her she had to leave and there were other issues involved and she wasn't already there for like a couple of weeks at that point.
So you live with your mother?
Yeah, I live with my mom, yes. My mom's house. My mom was the one who wanted her to get her stuff out of the house.
So you live with your mother, and your mother is home during the day?
No, at work. She works during the day.
Who else lives in the house other than you and your mother?
My dad and my sister.
All right. But on the 12th of December, she wasn't living there.
She wasn't living there.
She wasn't living there because your mother had put her out?
To be honest, I don't quite remember if it's my mother had issues with her, but I think she might have left on her own accord. I don't remember. You would have to ask Ms. Cupp.
When did you get legal custody of your son?
Yeah,
You're looking at Ms. Cupp as if he's not telling me the truth.
Because it's not true. And you've had detectives tell you that that's not true. That paper is not real.
We went to court. Remember the time I filed in court, and you were supposed to show up.
I'm not going to
You didn't show up, and you went to jail. So,
do you have an order of custody?
I do at home. I did not bring it with me. I didn't think I would need it.
I just wanted to make sure that you had that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. According to you, on December 12th, Miss Cupp came over, and the two of you agreed that you were going to bathe your son, and she was going to go out to get some groceries. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you gave her some money to go out and buy groceries.
Correct.
How much money did you give her?
$200.
Gave her $200 in cash. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Yes. So that you put all of her stuff that was there out on the porch.
Correct. And I told her, I texted her too. I told her.
You put her stuff out on the porch. That's what you're here for. You say you put all your stuff out on the porch, or he sold it, or he did something else with it. But among the other things that he put out on the porch, he put on the porch a guitar that your father had given you. That's why your father is here, to tell me something about the guitar. And that you want him to pay you $2,100 for negligent handling of personal property. That's what the case is about. And you want your $200 back for the groceries.
Correct.
Hey, what a case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My mom was having problems with her boyfriend, and I wanted to go and see if my mom was okay and everything was going fine instead of doing that.
Instead of staying with your child and getting groceries for your child, you wanted to go someplace else.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing that you don't have custody of the 6-year-old, that somebody else does.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kylie Cupp says ex-boyfriend Ilya Vaisfeld disposed of her father's vintage Fender guitar. Ilya's countersuing for stolen money.
When you left the house on the 12th of December, had he given you any money for groceries?
He gave me $20.
Okay, so he gave you $20 for groceries. That sounds more accurate. Groceries. What time was that on December 12th?
It was late. It was like 9. I don't think it was the 12th, though. I think it was the 16th or something like that. The police report says the 16th.
Well, was it the 12th or the 16th?
It was the 16th, which is why I know that I was still staying there on the 12th.
Okay, so he gave you $20 to go out to get groceries. So what did you do?
I went to my mom's house.
Why?
Because my mom was having problems, and I went to my mom's house, and it was more important to me than getting $20 worth of groceries.
With the only money I
had. So what'd you take? Hey, stop it. You two of you are idiots, and I'm really going to just say goodbye to you. Just too bad you made a child who was probably cared for by a lot of other people, clearly not you. I don't understand then why you took the $20. If you were going to your mother's house, then what did you take the $20 for the groceries for?
Well, I planned to do it, and I even offered to give it back to him.
No, what do you mean you planned to do it? When you left, you said your mom was having problems, and that was more important to you. So my question to you is, why did you take the money in the first place?
Because I did intend to go and get groceries, but I ended up not doing it. My mom was having problems with her boyfriend, and that, to me, I wanted to go and see if my mom was okay and everything was going fine, instead of doing that.
Instead of staying with your child and getting groceries for your child, you wanted to go someplace else.
Yeah, well, not really, but okay.
Well, those would be your choices. Either you were coming back with groceries for your 6-year-old child, or you were going to deal, probably, if you were going, you probably thought he was abusive. You thought that that was a more responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing that you don't have custody of the 6-year-old, that somebody else does.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So when did you finally come home?
I went there later that night to pick up, or maybe it was the next day. But
Don't ask him.
Because I went specifically to pick up the guitar.
Okay, so the thing that you're here for is the guitar. Where is the guitar? No, look at me.
I put the guitar along with her other possessions on the patio, which is closed off. You can't see anything from outside. And the next day, it was gone. So I just assumed she came by and picked it up. But then, like, maybe 2-3 days later, she did come by to ask for the guitar. And I figured she picked it up. And I didn't know anything about it. At the time, I didn't even know it was Mr. Weeks' guitar. Because if I did, I would have never actually been so careless with it. Because I do feel bad that he did lose it, because he has nothing to do with this. Just in the middle of 2 dumb kids.
What were you doing with the guitar?
Yeah.
He let me have the guitar because I have a guitar, but I don't have it with me, and I wanted to play guitar. I make music, and he let me borrow it. And when I came to pick it up, it was not in the house immediately. And my son told me, oh, he got rid of it. He sold it.
Maybe.
I did not sell the guitar.
Did you ever give him his $20 back?
I was going to give him his $20 back that day,
I didn't ask you that. I said, did you ever give him his $20 back?
Not after I found out that he got rid of everything.
Well, that's it. I wouldn't let her borrow anything. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Especially something that you might have felt was valuable.
It was very valuable.
Then I wouldn't let somebody irresponsible borrow my valuable property. Because you know what happens? You don't get it back. Because I don't know what these 2 morons were doing. Actually, and neither do you, right?
That's right.
I'm done with both of them. And you. Goodbye.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A basketball coach puts a young player off her game.
Do I hold her to a high standard? Definitely.
He's a yeller.
No, I think I'm an equal opportunity yeller.
Judge Judy.
I think she was right about her decision. She basically got a good grasp of the situation.
He's a liar. He's admitted to me, to him.
That me and the co-plaintiff are idiots, and that her dad should have never let her borrow a guitar that was valuable to him.
I lived there. I was gone for 1 day.
She was in and out with her mom and her other boyfriend. And
that he did it, and...
it's just complicated, and there was really no room.
Because he steals people's stuff and gets rid of it.
Like I stated, you know, how many people were already living at the house at the time.
He's smirking. He thinks it's funny, but it's not.
Hope we work things out. I mean, as best as